Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 77 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Lee from Road Lab in Canada. Let's go!
Hey there, butter cheeks.
Hey.
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 Butter cheeks.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Lather up them cheeks.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Are we recording? I don't know. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hey.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So, hey, guess what? I found, I lost my wedding ring. And
Really?
It was, it's the silicone kind, though. So.
Yeah. Do you take it off?
Oh, no, never. And I lost it and it was kind of loose anyway. And I lost it once before, like a few weeks ago, but I found it. It was actually in a glove, like one of the vinyl gloves. And I pulled the glove off to throw in the trash, but it was just inside out in the glove. You know what I mean? So I found it. But then I lost it again. And so I ordered one from Amazon, just like a silicone wedding ring. And it was like $7, including shipping. I was like, they're losing money here somehow. But maybe
that's how much it means to you. It's a $7 Amazon ring.
Right. Well, I ordered it and it showed up pretty late. And the guy walks in and I'm like, I'm like, you have my wedding ring. And he just looks at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I got a wedding ring in there. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was trying to make friends with him, and he didn't want. He
told you to fuck off.
Yeah. He said, he just looked down and gave me the thing.
So long story long, you have a rash on your finger now?
No. No rash. It's all good. We're good. But today I went to the store and got some stuff. No, it's on there. This one's kind of nice because it has something on the inside that grips,
That's
somehow. And it's not for pleasure. It doesn't grip for any pleasure. It just grips so it stays on. But so I went to the store and I got some stuff for Thanksgiving, some fixins. Mm-hmm. And Joanne was putting some of the stuff away. And she reached in the veggie drawer, of the refrigerator. And with the tomatoes in a bag was my ring.
Nice.
Yeah. So I found it. Now I have two.
Cool.
Actually,
one on each hand?
Actually, I have three. The original one that was like, whatever it is, metal. And then two silicone ones.
This one, I can't get off to save my life. Like it's part of my body.
Is it titanium?
It's cheap as fuck.
Yeah. Somebody here, I showed him this wedding ring on when he was leaving. And I was just showing it off, how pretty it was. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, my wedding ring is actually made out of titanium. And the doctor said that if anything happens, like if it gets, smashed somehow or bent, that they're going to have to cut off my finger. Like they can't cut the ring. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's bad.
Sucks. Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, I just got fat around mine. So it ain't coming off.
Well, you just lose a couple pounds and there you go.
That's the only way I can get my ring off. If I lose a bunch of pounds or I bolt cut it off.
Yeah. The story about the metal rings though, how if you work around machinery, if you work around machinery, which I guess you don't, honestly, let's be real. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you happen to print shirts and stuff, it's dangerous. And so I have the silicone one and just tears away.
I'm proud of you. And I'm glad we had this conversation about your wedding ring.
Yeah, that happened.
Tell me about Monday, Tuesday.
Monday was Monday, 6 a.m., got up, printed shirts, went home and went to bed and waited for tomorrow. Right. Tuesday, though, was different. I got up at some crazy o'clock, and I drove to Nashville. Mm-hmm. And I met you.
to see my beautiful face.
Yeah. And the first thing we did was hug and
embrace.
Mhm.
The first thing that was said between us was that I can see the outline in your pants.
Could you? What pants was I wearing? I don't even know.
So we went and visited the shop and it was fun. It was awesome. It was a rad shop.
A3 merch.
In
Yeah.
Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we do afterwards? We went back to the hotel, took a little napski.
Yeah. And then we went to, some call it Bartico. Some call it
Bar
dope
taco.
ass. Some call it dope ass tacos.
Dope
Don't forget
ass
that.
tacos. Right. I
And
forgot
then-
about that.
And then some people call it just bar taco. It's real name.
So Andy sends me this, what was it, like a Google link or whatever. And it says dope ass tacos, bar taco. So then Brett, who lives there, I'm like, hey, we're going to go to this place. You want to meet us there? He's like, yeah, where is it? And I was like, it's called Dope Ass Tacos. He's like, that sounds cool. I've never been there. Then he gets there and it's called Bar Taco.
Well, he thought it was called Bartico.
Bartico.
It was one
Right.
word or something. But actually, Chad had texted us that. And so Chad said it was dope ass tacos.
Dope Ass Tacos.
Well, he was like, hey, do you want some dope ass tacos? Go here.
Right.
And then it got.
But it was good. It was really good food.
Yeah, it was good.
Mhm. Then we had ice cream. Then we went and listened to some real country music, some acoustic sets.
Yeah. And what was probably after that a mistake, and what I think is the epicenter of COVID-19.
Yeah. First of all, it wasn't a mistake because there were so many smiles on our faces.
It was a mistake. Yeah, it was definitely a mistake.
No.
It was good times though.
Yeah, it was good. And then the next day, you got up early again.
So the next day I went to Kentucky. I drove 2 hours ish to Kentucky, which if you haven't done this in the fall, it's beautiful. Highly recommend it. It was gorgeous. And I got to the shop where we were going to be shooting a video for the 100th Cobra. So they bought and installed the 100th Cobra. And who better to congratulate them than me?
Mm-hmm.
Like
the owner of the first Cobra.
The owner of the first Cobra and a guy they do not know.
Right. Hey, who are you again?
Like, what do you? Okay, cool. Whatever.
Why are you here?
But in all seriousness, they were very, very nice and friendly, and it felt good to be there. We went to a Kroger, and then we bought some champagne, which I have two stories for, and they're both mistakes. So there's a lot of mistakes on this trip, and here's the first one.
Okay, can't wait.
All right. So while Brett's setting up the cameras and everything, the lighting and all this stuff, right? There's some downtime and I'm waiting, and I all of a sudden have to go number 2. And if I have to go number 2 in public or out in the world, I should say, and not at home or in the morning, then
You just shit in the parking lot?
Well, if I have to actually go, then something's gone horribly wrong. And so I couldn't help it. Where I'm traveling, I guess, and that's what's going to happen. And so I go into the bathroom and I do my business and I flush, and
Nothing happens.
it doesn't go down.
Oh God.
It goes down a little.
This is the Dumb and Dumber scene where he's like, "Flush, you bastard."
Sort of, but I'm like, okay, cool. I know how to do this. And there's a plunger right there. I pick up the plunger.
No, what you do is you scoop it out with your hand, you put it in your pocket, and you walk out with it.
Do they do that in New York? Because they don't do that.
Yeah, it saves
Kentucky.
water.
So there's this plunger, and I'm like, thank God. And I grab it. Plunge number 1, plunge number 2, it breaks.
Right through. Dry rotted.
The stick thing goes through the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Broken. And I'm just like, is this happening right now? Sure Kong comes to town to celebrate the 100th Cobra, and he fucks up our restroom, breaks our plunger.
So what did you do?
So I was like, well, there's 2 toilets and then 1 urinal. And so I'm like, well, maybe there's another plunger. And so I go out of my stall, no plunger in the next stall, but there's a plunger next to the urinal. And I'm like, thank God. And so I pick it up, plunge 1, plunge 2, plunge 3, hectically 4, 5, 6, nothing.
So it's just
Nothing. Like it doesn't. I flush again, and then I like, okay, cool. I'm gonna flush, and that's
way better if it overflowed shit water all over the floor.
It came all the way up, like within a centimeter.
Oh God, that's terrifying.
But it was pretty clean. Like it was okay. Like it wasn't too bad. And then I thought to myself, oh, and then here's what happened. Then Andy, we're ready for you. And then somebody actually like came in too, because
you know what's really funny is I have the other side of this story, because Brett told me he's like we were out there waiting, like fully ready, and we sat there and waited for 20 minutes.
There's no way it was 20 minutes.
He was like, we were literally all standing there like, where the fuck is Andy? What's happening, for like 20 minutes. So I never heard any of this story from you. So it's way better now that you're in there frantically like, flush you bastard.
Maybe 10 minutes,
God.
but probably felt like an hour. But I gave it one more shot and I'm like, look, it's not going down. I think the toilet's broken. Like it was broken before I got there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I figured, well, I can't do anything about it. And I walked out.
You just left it?
What am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
I don't have a, what's it called? Roto-Rooter handy.
You just left shitty water in the toilet and with a broken plunger next to it?
It wasn't shitty water. It was pretty clean at that point. It's pretty clean. So that's the way it goes. I don't know.
What about the plunger?
And I feel
Did you just leave it next to the toilet broken?
Yeah. What do you do with it? I think it was broken already.
All right.
Maybe I think they set me up. Could be. Okay. But that's one story.
Problem number one.
It's problem number two. Or sorry, problem number one should have been.
That one should be problem number two. Yeah.
We should have reversed this.
The number two problem.
That was the number two problem. The number one problem was I bought some champagne, 6 bottles of champagne at the Kroger.
Dang.
And I thought, that'd be a really nice gift, right? If they didn't want to pop some bottles and they just were like, not today, we're here at work or whatever, I would just give it to them as a gift. But I was like, Brian, are you down to, cheers? We'll just like drink right out of the bottle, some champagne, celebrate this epic day. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, and we can like spill some here in your shop. Maybe you want to go outside, whatever. He's like, no, we'll just do it right here in the shop. It's fine. And so you saw what happened.
Mm-hmm. Again, Brett calls me that night and he's like, I've got a story for you. Mm-hmm. And I said, please tell me now. And then he tells me that you had champagne, you each shook it up and you were getting ready to spray it on each other. But when you sprayed yours, it blasted the owner directly in the eyes. And I laughed for a good couple minutes. And then I said, please, whatever you do, send me that clip in slow-mo so that I can have it on my phone till the end of time. So later that evening, I got a video on my phone of that happening.
Yeah. Well, it happened, because I got caught up in the moment. And also you can't aim where you're spraying champagne. And in my defense, he leaned into it because we all took our cheers. We cheer. We like cheers. We, bottoms
took a
up.
Swig. Yeah.
And then I took mine down and put my thumb over and started to shake. And
that's what she said.
Something happened where he leaned forward into the spray. I got plenty of champagne on me too. Maggie sprayed me and we all got champagne on ourselves. It was fun.
All in all, here's smiles all around.
Well, at first he wasn't smiling that much. And then he got the champagne out of his eyes and then it was fun. And I called him the next day because I felt bad. And I'm like, Brian, dude, I'm sorry. I sprayed that right in your face. I said, let me make it up to you. And somehow. So
Annie, he's getting an Amazon package tomorrow with an eye wash for the shop and a new plunger, correct?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say a wedding ring. And I'm like,
And
well,
a wedding ring in a
I don't
box.
know about, not that far. I don't know about that.
Mhm. I'm really sad I didn't go.
Well, you have first of all, I invited you and I was like, hey,
I know. That's why I'm
I
sad
need
I
you.
didn't go.
I need you here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did, but yeah, I mean, you had to fly home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that was it. We drove home and like for 5.5 hours, and then of which 3 hours were in rain,
That sucks.
but I made it home safe going 95.
Sounds safe.
Yeah.
So in the rest of the week, smooth sailing at work?
Yeah, pretty smooth. You know, it was, we're still busy, but.
Do you still have young Andy?
Oh yeah. Young Andy. Yeah. New Andy.
Surprising me.
Yeah.
New Andy and elder Andy.
That's right. Yeah, no, he's here. He's great. All good.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Hey. You want to hear a joke about construction?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on it.
It's hilarious.
So I'll tell it next time. Okay.
Did you know that the guy who invented the Ferris wheel never met the guy who invented the merry-go-round?
No, I didn't know.
Probably because they traveled in different circles.
I like it.
Okay. Andy,
What? Yeah.
my son's been eating electrical cords. What should I do? I'm thinking about grounding him until he conducts himself properly.
Hey, that's kind of a construction joke too. We're in the same genre.
Mm-hmm.
Genre?
How did
you can't come with 3?
I got one more.
No, we do 2.
No, I got one more.
All right, then I'm going to finish it off.
That's what she said. How did Bilbo survive the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Bobo?
Bilbo.
Yeah,
Bilbo Baggins.
I don't know.
Baggins. Because old hobbits die hard.
Those are so good, Dylan. Did you write that last one?
No.
Mine is, and the final dad joke of the day.
Right. It's going to top them all off, right? It's going to be
here we go.
Beyond great.
Gonna finish strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she said. I was just waiting because you've been saying it over and over.
You're fucking
with about everything. Here we go. You ready? What do you call a hippie's wife?
I don't know.
It's a state.
I hope that wasn't the punchline.
No. Mississippi. That's good. That was good. I was saving that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Hey.
It all starts with the screen.
Yeah, probably.
Pull up your phone because you've already.
I forgot.
You fucked up the very first line.
Andy's got this totally scripted for me. Are you guys ready for a fully scripted thing that is not from the heart? Let's go.
You can, you know, like now you just went and shit on it.
I'm doing what you asked me to because you're the dad.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
It all starts with the screen.
Truth.
It sounded sincere. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And whether it's new stretches or re-stretches, Frank and his team do it the best.
Truth.
To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF,
rank.com,
or
greatfuckingscreens.com.
That's right.
That's right. Wasn't on here.
Truth.
Oh, okay.
Good? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nobody likes screening.
Nobody likes screening screens.
Truth. But Easy Way makes it easier. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean.
Truth.
Check them out at easyway.com. Easy Way.
It's the easiest way.
Sound pretty good, yeah? I think we got
so awful doing this. Go ahead.
I think we're getting our rhythm. Okay, well, don't look at yours then. You just say truth when you think there's a truth. All right. Close it out. When you think I say something true, or if I say something false, say it.
Okay.
True or false. That's your job. True or false.
Okay. Daddy.
Action engineering makes accessories printers don't need.
False.
Good. You're good at this. You probably did really good like in school when they had just true and false. You're like, thank God.
It's 50-50.
That's right. That's right. They have all kinds of rad stuff on their website, actionengineering.com. And when you go there and put something in your cart, be sure to use Shirt Show at checkout to get 15% off.
False.
I think that was a true one. See, you're just 50-50.
50-50. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually was a truth.
Hit or miss,
Right. Next, we have Monarch, and they make ink.
Wow.
Do you think they make ink?
Yes.
Okay. It's not yes or no.
Possibly.
Is this true or false right here?
Oh, okay.
So,
false.
Fuck. Oh my God.
Any way I could throw a stick in your spokes.
I'm gonna need a drink. I need a drink. Hold on.
Oh yeah, that tall glass of water.
All right.
Okay.
So we're talking about Monarch, and they do make ink, and they make an everyday white, a matte black, a high opacity mixing system.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss.
Monarch.
I
think we did it.
You did great.
Yeah. Our guest today, Dylan, is Lee Stuart from Rogue Lab in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Do you know I looked where that was because I wasn't sure?
It's up there.
It's up there. But unlike Ricky from Press Time, who's sort of right above you, just a couple hours or whatever, Winnipeg happens to be above North Dakota and only a couple hours from my wife, JoJo's hometown, Grand Forks, North Dakota. And so the next time I go there, do you need like a passport to go to Canada, or can you use like I have one of those driver's
enhanced ID.
Enhanced, you mean like what's it called? Real? I have a real ID.
Yeah, real ID.
You can go to Canada? Okay. Well, if he'll have me, I'd like to go visit him. But Lee is a lot of things. You want to know what he is? I got a few listed here. Right. He is a motocrosser.
Truth.
A brand maker.
Truth.
You weren't sure about that one. You thought about it.
Well,
but he has a brand.
Yeah.
A YouTuber, a screen printer, a videographer.
Truth. You're trying to think of a false.
Yeah, I was going to come up with a
false. I can
false
see your
one.
eyes move. Yeah.
Well, forget it then. A gold medalist swimmer.
Truth. Hairless, head to toe.
And he just built out a sick new shop. Did you see that thing?
I did.
I did too.
So much black paint.
Yeah, on his house too. So it kind of it flows, like it matches. It should be. Yeah.
So if you're watching this or listening to this, if you could possibly, maybe if you like us, if you're this far into the episode already, like it, share it, talk about us on Instagram, tag us, those kind of things. That would be really helpful for us because we want more people to know about this show. Please.
Truth. I was going to say false, but I do think that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do us a little favor.
Oh, you like my shirt? Can you tell what it is?
Do you have to number two? Do you have to number two before we start this?
Dude, and it wasn't like a big shit or anything. It was just normal. Because people are going to be listening to this like, wow, Andy like dumps like hard.
Yeah.
No.
When I lived at Chris's house, I for some reason took brick shits and his family made me shit in the yard.
What does that mean?
It means
Just
if I
like
had to
go
take a
out.
shit, I went out in the yard and I shit in the yard like a dog.
Like the backyard? I
Yeah.
hope. Like at least
Yeah.
so
Like
there
they
was
let me out like a dog to shit in the yard.
who would pick it up?
I'm pretty sure the dog ate it.
Like there were some bushes back there or something, or just
No,
white, like
no.
right?
Right in the backyard.
Okay. Wow.
Different times, man.
Well, next time I'm in Kentucky at Impact, I will not use their toilet. They probably won't let me. In fact,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well,
Smart move on their
happened.
part. Yeah.
Shit happens. Huh.
I'm gonna crack this bad boy open.
Yeah.
Oh,
Time to
it's
get
a
serious.
fresh hat.
I have a feeling Lee's going to be very ready. Like he
Oh
has
yeah, he's gonna have
a mic,
professional setup. He's gonna have like fucking
headphones.
green LEDs fucking dancing behind him.
Proper lighting.
Headphones out to here. There they are.
See,
called up.
like, look,
Dude, everything I called, he had on.
You guys are talking about me before I got here?
Hell yeah. I said that motherfucker's gonna have like light shining behind him, fucking all over the place. Yeah, big ass headphones on,
Don't mess around, dude.
and then poof, there he is.
I'm here.
like
I'm
a
doing this for
glow.
real.
Yeah,
It's my aura.
straight out of hell, like right out of the floor.
That's right. What's going on?
Nothing. What's going on with you?
Oh, not too much. Just working away over here at the new spot.
Yeah. Are you spending your weekends polishing in the floor and getting it ready for everything to move in?
That's literally what I did yesterday for 10 hours. My garage temporarily is going to be the vinyl shop. So that had to get cleaned out. And that's been like construction HQ for the past year and a half. So
The garage at the new house?
yeah. So it was fucking destroyed in there. It was so gross. So I spent, like 10 hours cleaning. I spent the last hour of it last night on my hands and knees with towels, like buffing everything and making it nice.
Now that shit has to be like super clean for the vinyl stuff, right? Because when you laminate it, you don't want like any dust or anything.
Yeah. Cause like laminating, any little bit of dust or fibers or anything floating around in the air ends up in there. So, and same with the print too. It ends up like the vinyl itself is like kind of staticky. So if there's any kind of shit floating around in the air, it just attracts itself to it while it's printing. And then you get these weird little blotches in the print.
Do you run like dust filters in there or anything?
No, not really. I just make sure I keep it super clean. And then before I go in there every day, I do like a full head to toe lint roller to get all the cat hair and shit off me. And then and it's pretty good. Never really have any issues.
Anytime you buy vinyl from Lee, it's just got fucking cat hair in it.
It's that added little bonus, man. It's a good thing everyone's a fan of Wheelie because a little bit of him ends up in pretty much everything.
We used to have an embroidery guy that I just like the dude. He's a local guy. He kind of did everything by himself, but he did it in his basement. And we got like a bunch of orders in a row where we got them back and they were fucking covered in cat hair. And I was like, dude, like I can't give these to the customer like that. He's like, sorry, my cat sees a box and it just wants to climb in it. And I'm like, cool. Well, can you fucking lint roll it off by the time I get it back, please?
Yeah, no
It's
shit.
like matted cat hair, like on a stack of hats.
We got like 4 cases of hoodies one year from a customer that dropped them off that they were storing them. And we opened the boxes to count them in and there's like mouse poo and shit in there. And we called them. We were like, can't do it. Can't put
Like,
it on
hey,
here.
these are covered in actual shit.
Dylan, you remember the floor at A3
Mm-hmm.
in Nashville? So this guy, we epoxied the floor in our ink department, like just the area in our ink department, which is pretty small, and it cost probably $1,000, I'd say at least. We did it ourselves, but this guy had his entire shop before they even moved in, professionally epoxied. He said it was $30,000, but it was absolutely gorgeous.
I believe it. It's not cheap. I went with, I didn't get like the crazy version of it. Like most guys will do like the epoxy and then they'll do the clear coat and all the other stuff on top of it to make it like a super deep shine and make it last forever. I kind of just went with like the single stage stuff. And how much should we do? I think it was like 16 or 1700 square feet. And yeah, I think it was like 11 grand.
That's what he was saying too. He said there was like, he got like the middle of the road one because the next one was like this super thick, like clear coat that like pretty much you couldn't destroy.
Yeah.
He said it was like another 10 grand for that.
Yeah, that shit costs a lot of money. It's nuts.
Yeah. I've always wanted to do it in the shop, but it's like too late now because it's like I got all my equipment in there. What do? Just fucking like go around every foot of every piece of equipment?
Yeah, it sucks. You have to empty the whole place out to get it done.
Yeah. No thanks.
So that's why I was starting with a fresh canvas. It's like, I want this done now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it turned out awesome. It's nice having that in there.
How was that in your, because you did that in the basement of your last place, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That one I did myself with stuff from Home Depot, and it actually held up awesome. I mean, like I beat the shit out of it for 3 years and it was great. The only time I ran into issues was I had a fire in there. So I had a shirt catch fire under the flash. So I kicked it off the press and it burnt a big brown spot into the floor. And then when that stuff gets wet, it's deathly slippery. So I broke my friggin' toes on sliding on that shit one day. But other than that, it was good.
I think you actually had a video of that, right? Didn't you have a flood and you slipped and smashed your toe on the door or something?
That was, all those things were in the same night. Yeah. It was, it was like my first year printing. And I was just like, I don't know. I was starting to feel super confident. I was starting to get multicolored stuff figured out. And I was just like, I'm going to do this crazy 8-color print and just do something awesome. So I went way over my head. And so that, it started off with the shirt catching on fire on the flash. I was sitting there registering this print for, I don't even know how many hours, way too long, like way too, I had no idea what I was doing. And I was just getting frustrated. You know how it is. You start freaking out and whatever. And then, the shirt catches on fire and the flash caught on fire. So that was how it started off. And then more hours registering. And then, the sump pump in my basement quit halfway through the night. And it was like a full on monsoon outside and I had no idea. And then before I knew it, there was like 3 inches of water covering the floor. So I'm trying to bail that shit out of there for hours and hours. And then after I got that figured out, then I slipped on the water and broke my toes. It was fantastic.
It's one of those where you just say, fuck it. And you go upstairs and like eat a bowl of cereal and watch a movie and then like come back downstairs. At
the end of the night, I was like, I felt full on delirious. Like I just didn't know what to think, what to do, how to feel. I was sitting there laughing like a crazy person. It was not a good day. It was probably the worst, I don't know, 14 hours or so that I've ever had.
That's one of those things that like, I'm glad it's never happened to me, but I see other shops it happens to where like if there's a flood and like, it'll never happen here just because our whole building's so built up and we're actually like right next to like a massive like dam. But has that ever happened? That's happened to you, hasn't it, Andy? Like you guys flood a little bit?
Oh, well, it was a flood, not because we're low or anything. It's because our gutters were clogged. And so, or maybe it was the downspout that was clogged and the gutters overflowed onto our dock. And the dock, you know how docks are supposed to pitch out, and so that if there's any water coming down, it'll drain out. Well, ours, I think, don't. They're like flat.
I think ours don't.
Yeah, it was built wrong or something. And so the gutters, it was overflowing, hitting our concrete on our docks and coming in because it wasn't pitched out. So yeah, happened to us.
Nice. Now you got the new space and you got that new, what was that building before? It was like a utility building for the property or something?
Yeah, the place that used to be here, it was a landscaping company. So they used it for just general storage and machines and equipment and all that kind of stuff.
Was the house a house or was it like an office for the landscaping company? No,
it was a house. They lived here also. So it was basically like it looked like a normal house from the outside, except for the pit in the back with all the landscaping crap.
So they're doing what you're trying to do basically is like have a house and then they had their business in the backyard.
Yeah, they had it for quite a long time, actually.
Right. Now, with that building, though, did you get it like prepped for, I'm going to actually be working in here and it's not storage, like it's insulated, has heat? And
yeah, it's got the works. Like that thing got a mostly functional facelift. It didn't get as much of a cosmetic facelift as the house did because I dumped all my money into that because this is where I got to live.
Right.
But functionality wise, it got everything new. It didn't have, it had heat, but it was one of those old school, the big ass wood burning fucking oil furnaces. Mm-hmm. It was one of those things. So I got rid of that thing. It's got full HVAC in here, AC, the works now. It got all new lighting, all that kind of stuff is all good. So it's a really nicely set up space now functionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to ask you because we're both Northern boys. How if you would plan that into your like floor plan or anything, as far as like where your inks go, or getting some kind of like turnabout or something to put your inks on, because they're going to get cold and they're going to be a pain in the ass to print with.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thankfully that's not going to be an issue, because it's like a nice, 68, 70 degrees in there all day. So
yeah, when I Googled where Winnipeg was this morning, it said that it's 16 degrees there.
And that's not even cold. This is just the start of winter. This is still, it's nice outside for us right now.
It's not negative yet.
Like it hits minus
shorts weather.
It'll hit minus 40 degrees here at times.
Actual temperature or wind?
No, actual temperature. Yeah. I did a video years and years ago before I started screen printing called Frozen Fury. I did a video riding my Harley on the ice. And while I filmed that video, it was a full blown blizzard and it was like minus 36 degrees. It was insane.
Well, that's why I was asking you about the inks, because it's like, even though it's like 65 inside or whatever, it's still kind of cold, and like you get like white ink super thick and everything else. Especially it's that fucking heater's gonna be working if you're, negative whatever 20, 30 degrees outside.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's insulated real well in here, and I got a fucking hefty furnace in this thing to keep up. So we're set.
Cranking all night long.
Would be a good time to mention right now, Dylan, is what we learned, that shop hack we learned last year about a dip tank and keeping it off, because now all of a sudden it's gotten colder out, right? For those northern boys.
I saw that, keeping it off the floor, and then you guys had like a fish tank heater or something in there.
It's like an animal trough heater, like for cows, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where it keeps the water from freezing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
we did that.
Warmer. Yeah.
We did that even with our inks, like our 5s and like gallons. Well, their gallons are all on like a rack, but like keeping 5s off the floor, anything off the concrete, like it just keeps them so much warmer than if you were to keep it on the cold floor. So like our dip tanks are now all like on cinder blocks or like off the ground. And that helped huge. But that's one thing, like even right now, like it's not that cold, but like I keep my shop set at 65, but it's still fucking cold. Like, you know what I mean? Like the floor's cold, you get drafts and whatever else. And turnabouts on full. And like in the summertime, it's not that big a deal, where we'll basically just like, if they had a full cup of white by the press, they'll just leave it and use it in the morning. But in the wintertime, like there's a new rule now that basically like it's colder, is at the end of the day before you leave, like scrape all your white out of the cup, put it back in the turnabout. So when you get here in the morning, turn the turnabout on. By the time the dryer's heated up, take your white back out, put it back in your cup and use it on press. So it's like mixed up well, it's warm, everything's good to go. So that's why I was asking, is like being up there and you got your fresh space. You're not in the basement of your house anymore where it's like nice and toasty. Nope. You're in a building in your backyard. That's why I was curious too, is it's like here, me owning my own space, like I'm in charge of all that shit. I'm in charge of snow removal. I'm in charge of fucking putting salt out front, like all that shit. And now that you're in your own space and you're going to have possibly customers showing up, do you have the ability to like snowplow your driveway and like get all that shit done?
My neighbor right across the street has a loader, so he's set up to come clean this thing every time it snows. It's fantastic.
Like,
hey. Yeah. So that's once I'm done paying out the ass for everything I got to pay for in here, that's a next year purchase. I'm going to get a skid steer in here to clear the snow, and just for myself to build jumps with and have fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. See, that was one thing. Like I just had took one of my bikes out of the garage and I traded it in, and I got a brand new 2022 4-wheeler. And my excuse for having the 4-wheeler was I'll get a plow and then I can plow at the shop with it.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's to hit sweet jumps. So.
Yeah,
that was my thinking behind that. So I guess tell us about the old space. That was just, you lived there and you were like, fuck it, I want to start screen printing, and you decided to gut the basement. Yeah.
So, it started off with my clothing brand, whenever that was, 4 years ago, I think it was. I started that off, and right out of the gate, I was having issues with printers, just like bad ones too. Now that I'm experienced, I know exactly how bad those issues were. Like we're talking fibrillation so bad that they might as well have been printing Braille on those things. It was awful. And undercured prints, like the works, basically everything that could go wrong with a print was going wrong.
Right.
So I got tired of it, man. I was like, it can't be that fucking hard. I mean, I got to be able to do a better job than these guys are doing. So I had a fully finished basement, and I wasn't really using it that much. I had like my little office set up for my brand and down there, but otherwise it was just basically storage and stuff. I didn't have like a full setup like everybody has in their finished basement. I kind of just used it for sticking shit down there. So I, just made the snap decision. Like it was literally about 30 seconds between making that decision to starting to rip shit apart. I was just like, I'm going to do this and there's no turn back. So I started ripping out carpets, just tearing shit down, throwing shit out. And, I gutted that whole thing completely. I spent like a month working on it because the idiots who put the carpet in that place glued it down with this, whatever kind of carpet it wasn't supposed to be glued. So it came off in little tiny chunks and left all the glue behind and stuff. So I literally was on my hands and knees for weeks with a concrete grinder, getting all that glue off. It was awful. Like I tried one of those big floor buffer ones and it wouldn't cut through that shit. So I was just,
isn't it awesome when you do a project like that and the next person that comes in or anybody who visits has no idea like the amount of bullshit you had to go through just to get it to look normal?
It was crazy, man. And that part was bad enough. I mean, there was mud and dust and just shit everywhere for a long time, but that dust also covered the entire upstairs of my house too. Like I was cleaning up that mess for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months. It took forever to get this done. But anyways, so I ripped the whole basement apart and went after it. And, I just decided I'm going to buy all this equipment. I was going to start off small, like a lot of people do. And then I don't know. I'm just, when I do something, it's 100% or nothing. I go all in on stuff. So I was just like, I want to get a full blown manual shop package in here, like the works. I want no excuse not to crank out the level of work that I want for my brand. So I called up Brown It and I was like, give me, what does a shop need to start off on the right foot? And I was like, give me all of it.
Now, did you think about like specific presses versus other ones as far as not necessarily like brand wise? I just mean more like, okay, I'd really like to get a 6 color because you upgraded your press at one point to add more heads on it or more arms on it or something.
No, I went with an 8 color right out of the gate. Just because I wanted to, I was smart enough to know I need to have as many heads on there as I can get.
Right.
The one thing I did upgrade was I added side clamps to it. I originally just had the forward clamps, and trying to do anything more than like 3 or 4 colors
Good
was
registration.
it wasn't happening. So adding the side clamps cured that for me. But I didn't really think too far ahead. Something I didn't look into that I wish I would have looked into was automated stuff. Just planning more ahead for the future. That was the only oversight throughout the whole thing, because I got the Riley 300, which has its own pallet bracket system and doesn't work towards the rock or anything else for that matter. So
you mean something like an auto or a manual that would have transferred well to
exactly. Yeah. Something that would have used the same pallets and same screen, just basically just a smooth transition to an auto. That's something I didn't plan ahead.
Did they even have the new ones now that have basically the rock arms on them?
Yeah, they've had that for quite a while. So, they had it at the time and it was way more money. So that was the only thing that I saw.
That's really good advice. I think a lot of people, and sometimes it's just cost prohibitive, but a lot of people buy manuals. And like I did the same thing when I was in my garage. My first screens actually were 18 by 20s wood. And then I started to get 20 by 24 still wood frames. But those size frames won't work on an auto. And so when I got my auto, I had to get all new screens. You have to get so many things, but I also had to get all new screens, which sucked. So,
that's what I'm at right now. I'm literally replacing every screen I got, all the accessories and stuff, basically starting from ground zero again because of not planning ahead. But at the time I wasn't smart enough to think that through. And to be honest, I don't
think you would have though.
No, not many people are.
You wouldn't have been at that point and been like, oh yeah, you know what? I should make it to where this manual would work good for sampling for my auto that I'm going to have in 10 years.
The funny thing is I didn't even know autos existed. I didn't have a clue about it. I didn't find out until like after I got all my stuff. It's like, holy shit, these big print robots exist. This is awesome.
Spaceship. Yeah, no. Yeah. And it's funny too, because that's like, you could be an multi-auto shop or whatever, and you're still going to have that manual. And a lot of them are like, you walk into these shops and you're like, do you fucking ever even use the manual? And they're like, yeah, we use it daily, or we do samples on it or whatever. But the nice thing is, like Andy said, like you can set it up and do a sample on that, like a 1 or 2 off print or whatever. And then you can just transfer all that stuff right over to the auto, because it's all the same, same palette, same setup, same tri-lock, same everything.
Exactly.
So, that's a good tip for somebody that is getting one. But again, like you said, it's like, do they have the money to spend the extra whatever to get that press that will work that way?
Yeah, I would say like a lot of people start off with the smaller presses, like the little bench top ones, like the 2-color or whatever, the 4-color 2-station Rileys and stuff, the 250s, I think they are now. So many people start off with those. So yeah, that's fine. But if you're going to bump up to like a bigger, like freestanding press, then definitely plan ahead for an auto. Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially if you're getting like an 8-color, like that's a big,
exactly.
I'm going to go buy a manual, go buy an 8-color and put it in your basement.
yeah. Not many people do that. I kind of went a little bit overboard, but
what's the footprint on that thing? Like what, 10 feet or something?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it was 10 or 11.
That's funny.
Pretty big. It took up
almost as big as
my Sportsman's a 14 foot.
It's an auto. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. They're not small, man. So, but it took up a fair amount of that basement. You had to kind of like shimmy around it everywhere. I kind of was able to film from certain angles to make it look like I had more room than I did, but no, I was bashing shins and hips and nut sacks on that thing all the time.
Yeah. I remember when your first videos were coming out, because I fucking scour the internet for everything screen printing. And I started watching your videos, and that was like the one thing I kept seeing in all the comments was that fucking place is not going to stay that clean.
Yeah.
It was like every fucking comment was like, good luck, asshole.
Oh, so many people were talking shit about it, or like, oh, he doesn't even use that shop. He doesn't print anything, all that shit. And like after 3 years, it's still pretty immaculately clean. Like, I mean, like it wasn't as clean as day one when I filmed that first shop tour video, when I literally hadn't used it. I used it maybe 3 or 4 times. Then yeah, that looked amazing. But even after 3 years of printing tens of thousands of shirts, I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Well, that's the thing too, is like me and Andy generally have like really clean shops, and we've been in a bunch of really clean shops. But the thing is you see some of these places where that like you had white polished floors, and we see people like the Golden Boys that have a fucking carpet. And then you see other people that have like, polished hardwood under their press. And I'm just like, yeah, it's awesome. And I would love to have that. But just like anytime you get overspray on web glue, or you fucking drop ink or anything, like your heart sinks a little bit, and you're like, please don't fuck up the floor.
Yeah. My floor underneath the press, it had a fair amount of glue and stuff on there or whatever. But every month or two after things got bad enough, I would just spend a day and do like a whole cleanup and make that place nice again. And that's really all you have to do. I mean, I've seen shops where, you're out in the parking lot and you somehow got fucking ink on you. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And all you have to do is just a little bit of cleanup every once in a while, and it stays nice.
Our biggest rule here is just like, if you made a mess, fucking clean it up. Like if you if you take a spatula and you accidentally bump something or get ink on the press, fucking wipe it right then and there. Don't wait. Like, don't be like, I'll get it later, because you will not get it later.
Right. It takes a second.
Right. I was at a shop, I want to say it was Northeast Stitches and Ink in Buffalo. And I was there at the end of the day, and they had basically like, I think the dude had like just the end of a broom, and he would get under the press at the end of the day and like sweep up every piece of lint underneath the press. Like every single day, that was their rule. Like while the dryer's cooling down, like clean everything, wipe everything down.
I like that, because it seems like the longer you let it go, every day it's exponentially harder.
Yeah, it gets so much worse. And it's like, if you just make it
every
like,
day.
If you make it a line item on the schedule of just like, okay, at the end of the day, this is what you do. Like I said, here, it's like scoop all the ink out and put it back in the turnabout. And it's like, shut the dryer down, wipe the press off, like clean the floor. It's like, if that's part of their job daily, then it's going to get done.
Yeah. And that's something I'm going to implement here now that I'm bringing in employees, and it's going to be a whole kind of different scenario than I'm used to, is 10-minute daily cleanup at the end of the day. That's it.
I used to take much.
Yeah. I used to work in a welding shop. Like we used to build big stuff for oil rigs and shit. And I mean, those type of shops are usually disgusting. This place, you could eat your lunch off the floor at any given point in the day. It was unreal. And now it's just 10 minutes a day. At the end of the day, everyone put their shit away, grabbed a broom, cleaned up, and it was amazing.
In real world scenario or situations, I've found, because we have a cleanup at the end of the day, but I've found that, and on most days that works, but let's say we're running a job and it runs like right up to 5 or maybe even 5:10 or 15 because we're trying to finish it, right? So all of a sudden it's 5:15, everybody's tired, and then now we're going to clean up for 15 more minutes. Well, some people, they can't stay. Some people have obligations
around the shop.
Or like, hell, or we'll get it in the morning or whatever. And so it, like most of the time it works. I'm still looking for that perfect, we always clean no matter what. But, and I think the only way to maybe do that is to have it be a like a designated person. You know, somebody here is well, maybe their role is maintenance, but also it's cleaning. No, not just under the presses, but bathrooms and everything. You know, I mean, if that's their role, like that's their job.
That's my
then
mom
they
on
have
Saturday.
And that would be great.
But we have a thing too, like even with the M&Rs, it's like, you know, one guy's tearing down, the other guy's setting up. But when we are not using a head, like the heads are always up. You know what I mean? So like the end of the clamp is in your face. So if you got ink on it, or if you were flooding too fast and like ink flickered up onto the back of it, like you're going to see it. It's going to be right in front of your face.
I've heard you're not supposed to keep those up when you're running. Like once you hit print run, that they've got to come down.
Yeah. I'm just saying that balance. Like, as you're doing it or whatever, they're up. But we're wiping those down. And one of the best things I learned just from doing this fucking podcast was the baby wipes. Like we go through so many fucking baby wipes now. It's like anytime you get ink on something, it's like, oh, baby wipe, baby wipe, baby wipe. So no, those work really good.
Lee, back to those haters, those negative comments. I have, isn't it funny that here you are and you're like, okay, I'm starting this shop and I'm going to print for my own brand, and I'm going to decide to record it and put it out there and document this process so that it may help somebody, which by the way is 100 times harder than just printing the shirts. Because if you're going to, print like a 10 shirt order for yourself and then just do it and get it done, well, that's easy and that's fast. But if you're going to actually hit record and get different angles and then hold the camera while you're doing stuff, I mean, it's
what
tough,
it's like.
right?
I've seen you make good videos. You need to make more shit, man. So I know you know what it's like,
but
it hasn't in a while.
It is not easy. And then you put that out there, and then to get any hate, I think it means that you're doing something right. That
absolutely
you're successful.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And it's funny because people ask about the haters thing all the time. Dude, I fucking love it. I love every second of it because those guys are my biggest cheerleaders I could ever get. There's literally like a Facebook group almost dedicated to talking shit about me on a daily basis. It's hilarious. It is so funny to see. And
the best part of it is it's like there's shops like mine or Andy's or anybody or whatever that are doing cool work. But the problem is we don't know how to fucking document it. We don't know how to promote ourselves. We don't know how to do that really well. And you came into this like with knowledge already of like making video and like doing well with like photos and social media and stuff. So it's like 100% of it is the fact that they're jealous that they can't make it look as good as you can.
Absolutely. That's
like, I can make a video with my phone and I can go around and make something look pretty cool, but I can't make a video with fucking like lightning shooting out of my hands or fucking like, shit coming across the screen or like music that's perfectly in sync with what I'm doing. And that pisses me off. Yeah. I watch your videos and I'm like, that motherfucker, like, how come my videos can't be as cool as his? But that's 100% of it. But we're friends. Like we talk about shit and whatever else. Like that's awesome. I'm super stoked for you. But the 100% of it are those people that are just like, man, I can't do that. And then they get pissy and then they say stuff on the internet.
Oh, it's that, or it's the fact that, I've been printing for this long and this guy comes in and now he's got all this attention. That's a fucking big one for sure. Yeah. Or, they hear I'm getting, free equipment or things like that. And they're pissed about that and whatever. But I mean, the hate, please keep it coming. If you're a hater and you're listening to this, keep it fucking coming, because what they don't realize is they're like my marketing team almost. It's unreal. They're directing people to my channel because on the internet, what gets people's attention more than anything? Drama. So someone who might not have heard of me before, they're going to see this post of someone talking shit about me or whatever. And then people are like, oh, I'm going to get curious now. Who is this guy? I want to see about what his deal is. And I've literally seen people come from those posts of someone talking shit about me to becoming fans of my channel. So like, keep it coming. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's totally what it is. Cause the thing is too, is it's not like you're in every video, like showing just polish this, polish that, whatever. Like you're doing stuff and you're like, well, I fucked that whole thing up. And then you're like, this is actually what I learned in the end of this thing, and do the whole thing. And that's the biggest part of it to me, is the honesty. And that's kind of like with me and Andy with the show, like we have people coming at us that want us to do things or talk about their shit or whatever. And it's like, well, if I'm not actually like, if I can't really talk about it the way I want to talk about it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I have that. I want to be like, hey, I accidentally shit my pants yesterday. I don't want to be like, yeah, everything was perfect all day long. It's like,
I have that quite a bit too. And it's funny. Like, I've had sponsor deals that I've turned down because in the contract, they're like, they want it to be a family friendly piece of content. And I'm like, I say fuck like 18 times a video. Like I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I can't contain it because then I'm not being myself anymore. And it's funny because like some people originally started that way, were like on the fence about maybe doing some stuff with me. And then they see the results after, and like, I guess the realness is what comes across and gets results. And then afterwards they're totally on board for it. Stalls calls me their favorite foul mouth now, which is fantastic.
Yeah. It's true. And I mean, that thing worked too, because you made a video on, like, I knew it existed, but you made a video on that new hat heat press they have, the one that heats the bottom and the top. And after watching your video, I was like, God damn it, I do need that fucking thing.
It's a game changer, man. It's a really nice piece of equipment. I love it.
Yeah, no, I got it. And I mean, like I said, I absorb as much content on the internet about printing as I can. And it was a good, well done video on that press. So
Thanks, man.
Got me, it worked. So
yeah, they sold a lot of heat presses from those videos. I can tell you that, because
it took a while to get here.
Yeah, well, that's the way of the world right now. But yeah, no, it's cool to see that stuff has that kind of an impact. And like, it's, I don't know. Again, like, you get some hate for it too, because people are like, oh, it's a biased thing. He's paid to say this and whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm a major partner of Rionets, and like when they make something that I don't like, I full on say it. I don't care. I tell all the sponsors, like, whatever I say, I'm gonna say. And that's the way it is. No one can buy my opinion.
The thing of it is that even if you give the honest truth about something, like say you're just testing out an ink or whatever, you're like, yeah, it worked really great for this, but I didn't like this about it. People will be more apt to buy it anyway, because you gave an honest opinion about it. And you're like, yeah, it works really good. All in all, what I'm saying about this is it's a really good white. But if you were to do it on a tri-blend, it might not look so great. And then they know, okay, cool. I could totally use that white on almost everything, because I don't use tri-blends, or I'll steer clear of tri-blends when I use this white because I don't like it or whatever. Rather than finding out on their own, and then they use it on tri-blends only, and they're like, well, this thing fucking sucks. Lee lied to me.
Yeah. And that's not something I want either, because that's something I get all the time, because I'm really ingrained into like the whole cameras and tech part of YouTube. I'm all about that shit, obviously. And most of those guys are like, I'd say 99% of them are full of shit, because they just want to keep that free product flow coming in. You know what I mean? And so positive reviews will get that. And I get emails in my inbox all the time, people asking for paid positive reviews, even if something sucks. It's almost a weekly occurrence. So I know they're doing a ton of that kind of stuff, and just, I'm never going to do that to people.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten so many pieces of camera gear that were ass.
We were asked if we would, they would pay us if we talked about that ball cream or whatever it was.
Manscaped. Yeah, they hit me up too.
We've had a bunch of them. We've had a lot of like, we've had a lot of people hit us up about equipment stuff. Not necessarily like they want to send us something, but more like, we know you've tried this or whatever. Can you like do a segment on us and we'll pay you for it? Or we've had a lot of stupid shit like, the MeUndies or the fucking ball shave and all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm not doing, I don't want to do that. Like, the funny thing is, me and Andy do get like sponsor money for the show from the people that, support us and want to help us out or whatever. Yeah. We have not touched a dime of it. It's literally sending an account. We had a discussion the other day about how we should blow it at the end of the year. Like, we're not doing this for the money. We're doing it because we want to fucking talk to assholes like you on a Sunday.
We're definitely not going to sell out. And anybody we have on the show hasn't paid us. Like, I remember when we had Graphic Source, I thought, well, are people going to think that they paid to be on here? But the answer is no. We had Graphic Source on here because we thought that it would help people. Like, that's a good
we thought it was a cool product.
And so that's why we do this show. It's not for the money.
Yeah. And the funny thing is we see them too at a show, and they're like, dude, we owe you a check for like the amount of people that came to us. And we're like, dude, totally cool. Buy me a drink at the bar. Like, it's a good thing. Like, what they have is a good product. Like, you can get, it's basically a fucking art department. It's like, why would we not want to talk about that? Like, that could help so many shops, and it has helped so many shops. Like, that's the point.
And that's exactly why this show is doing as well as it is, because of the authenticity of it, that you guys are putting others ahead of your own agenda. That's
just two pricks talking to each other. That's all it is.
Dylan constantly roasting me.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's what gets it for me, is I get to be a bully for 3 hours. Can't do that at home.
I've printed for brands, and they have at some point done what you did. They probably said, man, this shit is so rough. It looks like Braille or whatever. But eventually they left and they started printing out of their garage. They bought a manual, or even one of them has an auto. And so whenever that happens, I always think, man, they don't know how hard it actually is. And I thought that it would be so good if they just focused on marketing for their brand instead of worry about printing. And so my question to you was how was it harder or easier than you thought it was going to be, starting screen printing?
Oh, I know that answer without even him.
Yeah.
It's definitely way fucking harder.
Oh, way harder. Way harder. Ask Dylan how many stupid fucking questions I asked him in the beginning.
The thing is, it's not necessarily is it easier or is it hard, but it's the appreciation. Do you have more of an appreciation for the printing process or less now that you're doing it yourself?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Way more, especially manual printing. Cause I mean, with an auto, like a really well set up machine, a monkey can print a nice shirt with, but with a manual, dude, you gotta have that technique. You gotta dial things in a lot. Like just angle and speed and pressure of a squeegee can change the outcome of something so much. It's nuts. And you have to be consistent with that time and time again. But yeah, man, the craft became like an obsession for me afterwards. It originally started off as like, this is just a way to get my stuff out there. And then all of a sudden I was like, this is hard. This is something
the other part of it
that's
too
really
is that
hard as a challenge.
You get a little bit of sympathy for those people you were such an asshole to. They gave you shit product. I know, but I'm just saying they gave you something and you're like, I fucking know how they got here. You know what I mean? Like, I know, they shouldn't have sent this to me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I feel for them knowing what that print looked like, what they were probably going through to get it to there. And I can tell you, fuck it, send it out.
I felt no sympathy right out of the gate, like zero, because not to sound like an asshole or anything, but I'm going to sound like an asshole right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
My very first print that came off my press after I figured out, I spent probably a whole day learning how to register a 2-color print together and whatever. My very first print that came off that press was miles better than anything they gave me, like way better. So right there. And then I was like, wow, these guys have been doing this for how many years? And this is my first day. Come on. So in this case, yeah, I felt no sympathy towards them whatsoever.
It's weird how that works, isn't it? Because I think sometimes, shops, maybe their quality is not consistent. I think that maybe years ago they were good, and it depends on, it all comes down to your employees. I mean, if they're not printing it, if they're running the business, and they have a team that's supposed to be putting out quality work, and then that diminishes over time for whatever reason, because maybe somebody moves or whatever, and then they have to find the right person to get back in to that situation. I mean, I think shops, I'm surprised sometimes when I get sample shirts from other shops, how sometimes they look awesome and sometimes they don't look awesome. And these are from successful shops, like really high volume,
which is
shops.
Exactly why I keep talking about certification classes, and that we need to get those so that we can all do that. And then you can say like, hey, I'm a fucking certified this, or I'm a master screen printer instead of a master electrician. Like, why is that not a fucking thing?
That should be a thing.
Exactly. And I'm fucking fighting for it. We had it.
That's a good idea.
Who are we talking to? Where I'm the fucking union head or whatever.
What is it, Jared? Like, maybe.
Yeah. It's just like, I think it should be a fucking thing. Like, it should be, if you're passionate enough about this industry, not necessarily just about making the money. It's like, wouldn't you want all of your staff to be trained and certified and like have fucking level whatever certification for that press or that print or whatever,
coding screens or whatever it is.
Right. It's like, you should master that craft. Like,
absolutely.
It's a trade just like anything else. And it should be fucking treated as such,
because
where it's like the general asshole, like Lee was going to getting prints, is doing the same prints, charging the same amount of money for the guy who bought the fucking high end equipment, spends the money on the best inks, everything else, but they have to fight over the same price because that's the way the market is. Like, the guy who spends all this money on all these great inks, yeah, he can charge more, but people aren't going to go to him unless they like know that he's like this god of fucking screen printing. If people just need shirts, they're going to go to whoever's a little bit cheaper, and it's going to be the asshole in his basement printing with fucking fluff. And then there's the guy over here that's printing with like high-end inks and using the best equipment, best presses and everything else. It's like, there's no way to distinguish the two if you don't know anything about printing and you just want apparel.
Yeah, like we've
Yeah.
said before, there's better quality coming out of garage shops sometimes than big shops.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's because going back to what you said about a monkey can run an auto. I think that a monkey could load an auto or load
I
a
wouldn't say,
shirt and offload.
run it. I mean, like a fully set up press that somebody came in and like, here you go. Then yeah. But yeah, like you said, loading pretty much.
You'll figure out the next set of headaches when you get that auto in the new shop.
Yeah, it's actually sitting at the border right now. So I'm going to find out pretty damn soon. It's probably like it's got to get set up and all the other stuff involved. But it's
the one thing I'll say about
out.
having an auto versus a manual is when you fuck up way hard.
You fuck up big time. Yeah. I already know that going in because you're fucking up like, piles of shirts, not just a couple before you notice.
By the way, about that, something happened on Friday that I've never seen before, and it was magic. So we were printing some comfort colors. Like I think the color was blue spruce crew necks. And I would say maybe 40 of them, the Navy screen broke down because it was a screen we had racked and saved, and we pulled it down, reused. And right on the edge of the pallet, right? So you had that line, that stripe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can't spray out comfort color. And I was like, son, and they were $17 each. I was like, motherfucker. And there was like 30 or 40 or whatever. And so we're getting ready to do a fix on it to, go buy them and reprint. And Shan, who was in quality control at the end of the dryer, just started rubbing it together, rubbing the shirt together over that Navy part. And it went away.
What do you mean?
Like,
it went away?
I know that's what I said, but it
Did
actually
the ink crumble off?
No, the ink's probably still there, but the comfort color was pigment dyed, and it still had enough pigment, I suppose, maybe on the surface top layer of that.
What'd you say her name was?
Shan.
Burn her. She's a witch because that's not a real thing.
And she it's short for something else, but I swear to God, and I saw it with my own eyes, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, she's a fucking
But
Wiccan.
she rubs them together, and it's gone. So I guess that's a shop hack.
It's not a shop hack, Andy. She's fucking
Dylan, fuck off. It's real. It happened. I saw it.
She probably had like 3 crystals in her pocket. It was a full moon.
All right. Well, if anybody, if this happens to anybody, they can call her and she'll take care of it. She could probably make a lot of money.
There was something I watched the other day. I guess it's a shop hack, but I was watching Bruce had a video with Supercolor, and I had never done this before, but like, how you get pressure marks from the heat press or whatever, or you can get pressure marks from the auto. They just had a piece of wool, and they would rub the pressure marks, and the pressure marks would go away.
So I know
people ask us that all the time about
the
like
water
misting.
mist. Yeah.
And yeah, you can do that. Like, I think you can mist the wool and then just rub the wool on the marks. And it kind of like, I'm guessing it just like pulls the fibers back up or whatever. But yeah, I was like, that's pretty sweet. I need to get some wool.
Stalls has one of those. They gave it to me. It's called like the heat eraser or something. It's like,
I have one of those. It looks like a dry erase thing.
It looks like a little, like a chalkboard eraser, but it's wool and stuff. I've used that a couple of times. It works great.
Yeah.
I thought that was for like cold peel stuff too.
That's what its main intention is to like absorb that heat so you could peel shit faster. But I did the same thing. I noticed it was wool, and I heard that from somebody else or whatever. You can rub it and it'll, make those marks go away, and it works. Yeah, it works fantastic.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. One question I had for you was, how hard is it to, and this kind of goes back to what Andy was saying, how hard is it to run the business daily and also try to like film and make content daily? Or are you just like, fuck it, I'm not doing any content this week, I have time next week to do content?
Yeah.
Or is it more just like, you're like, oh, I got to set up the camera for this, and I got to do this thing and whatever else?
That's why my video upload schedule is as spotty as it is, because, I got to think of the business first. And even that, there's not enough of me to go around. I mean, it's kind of bad. My email inbox is atrocious.
Yeah.
I got to definitely bring more people in. I could definitely hire more people earlier, but it was in my house. So I really couldn't, because what I was doing there was already something I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I had to keep it flying under the radar.
That's something I had a problem with too, is because for the longest time, like me with like social media, that was like what I always did. Like I was always like, my role here at Upstate is basically like marketing and talking to like big clients and just doing the managerial bullshit that nobody else does. But I can definitely notice like shit dropping off as far as like me being able to take photos of stuff or content or anything else, because I've just got so much other shit to do. Like I'm busy.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is too, is like, if I'm helping out in the shop, like if they have me out to pull shirts, or if someone's sick and I'm out in the shop, like you can notice on Instagram, like stories go way up or posts and content go way up because I'm out there and I'm like, oh, cool. That's cool. Take a picture. And it's like, if I'm literally just a normal running good day where I'm in my office, nothing happens because I've got my own shit to do at my desk. Nobody wants to see me fucking take pictures of me with my feet up. Like nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like I'm just busy doing my own shit. So that's what I'm wondering for you is like, you're in it now and you have the ability to make all the content you want because it's you doing it and everything else. What happens when you get the auto and you get all these other things and, you know, you're also in a bunch of other shit. You're not just like, oh, I'm going to get an auto on my screen print. You're like, no, I have fucking vinyl and I have wraps and I have fucking everything else. It's like, are you thinking of that now of like, I still want to make stuff. Am I going to have time for this? Or do I source it to somebody else that's working, or just have that social media guy that can like film and do shit?
My game plan moving forward now is, I'm going to start bringing more and more people in so I can delegate tasks off to them. So the first and foremost thing, I'm just going to get like a general laborer, someone to do like, you know, screen cleaning and all that stuff, like stuff that I have no business doing that takes a shitload of time.
Right.
So that's definitely gonna be the first person that comes in. That'll take a lot off my shoulders. Obviously the auto is going to take a lot off my shoulders too, because I'm not going to be printing, you know, for 8 hours a day for a teeny little result. So that's going to help a lot, but I definitely want to get a press operator in here as soon as possible to do the stuff that's happening off camera. That way I can focus more on creating content and things like that. I want to focus more on the YouTube side of things and just developing myself, I guess, as a printer, like being able to go and experiment with things that aren't work. So have a press operator off doing his thing. That's all the paid jobs. And I can go on a different press, 'cause I'm going to have a manual in here still, and go play around with different techniques and different inks and doing all that kind of stuff and making videos about it and whatever else. So I'm definitely going to delegate off like the day-to-day work stuff off to other people as I bring people in. And then I can focus more on the content creation and dealing with the bigger brands and things like that.
I was going to say, is that going to be your focus going forward, as your role in the company is more of the, you know, marketing director, content creator?
Yeah. 'Cause that's definitely my strongest suit for sure. I mean, I've put in the work and I'm gotten my print skills up there, but I mean, with the auto coming in and all that stuff, like they're not as needed as much anymore. Like if I get a good press operator there, I don't really have to really worry about it.
I mean, and it comes down to, what do you like doing?
Yeah.
Like, how do you want to spend your day?
That's exactly why I am where I am, because that's what I like to do.
Exactly. And with the auto, I feel like I'm not going to enjoy printing as much as I did, because you're hands off essentially. Once you got it set up, you're just loading and unloading shirts at the end of it.
Right.
So, I mean, that I can hand off to somebody else, because that's not going to be fun for me. I can use those hours and make some kind of really cool piece of content and, you know, entertain people or whatever and have fun.
Well, that's something we've been talking a lot on the show about too recently, is standard operating procedures. So are you at the point now where if you're going to hire somebody, you have like a PDF or an open document that you can put all the shit that you've learned down? You know, like if you're like,
you have that, can you email it to me?
Actually, that's something I've been thinking about for a long time. And that's, I don't have it written down. Like I've got definitely a standard operating procedure stuck in my brain right now.
Right. But I'm saying you need to write it down so that the next guy who comes in can refer back to it or learn it and study it.
What my plan is actually to take all that and create a little series of videos and put them out there for everybody. Mm-hmm. So it'll be like, this is how our shop operates. This is the way we do things. Put it out on my YouTube channel. Maybe it'll help you guys. I think that'd be a really good thing to do. So that's actually something I'm going to start working on right away. Once the shop is fully set up and ready to go and I'm not doing any of that shit anymore, that's like the first thing on my list.
Right. Yeah. It's something that we're really working on right now. And I'm trying to get each department to slowly like put in things as they go or whatever. Cause I don't know, it's just the biggest thing is like, if someone's out or you get a new guy in, you already have all the shit that you know, your accrued knowledge of everything here. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like right now, you know everything because you've been doing it by yourself, but you get someone fresh in there. They're like, I have no fucking idea what this is.
Yeah. So, and then just with my video skills, I can create like a nice visual aid for them and all that type of thing. So if they run into a problem, here's a YouTube playlist, click on
I like
video.
that better. Anyway,
I think it'd be funny
more so than written down.
Lee's videos were like those ones where I think they had it in Lost where the dude had to push the button. There was like a video of like, and then you got to do this and you got to do this. It's like an instructional video, not for the internet, but for your own shop as you, the owner. Like you're like, hey, today's orientation, you sit them down on a table and you hit play and it's you on TV. You're like, hello, it's me. And then you like go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck is this?
Like a video version of Memento.
Exactly.
No, that's something I've been thinking like a lot about lately. And I think that'll be cool. And I think it could help a lot of other shops as well too. So it'll be cool. And just for, as we grow and whatever too, if someone has a question, it's just not going to take up my time. It's just, here's the YouTube playlist, click that video. It'll be specific to your problem. You're good. And then I can update it as things go and stuff like that too.
Right,
So
right.
that's something I want to work on right away.
Yeah. I know me and Andy kind of talked about this the other day too, with the podcast stuff is it's like when I started the Upstate podcast, in my knowledge, there was only two other print podcasts. There was two regular guys and there was
Printavo.
Building Your T-shirt Empire. Printavo didn't really have a podcast yet. I think they were just kind of just still doing YouTube videos. But then we started this one, and then now it's like every other day I'm seeing like screen printing podcast, all sorts of stuff.
Dude.
And it's like for you, I've noticed since you started, there's like 9 million like print shops now doing basically vlogs of their day-to-day print stuff. It's like I'm seeing so many more print videos now.
Yeah, I'm seeing a shit ton of them, which is awesome. Because like when I started, there was only 3 or 4 people. That was it. And I don't know. I mentioned that somewhere. And a bunch of people gave me shit. And they're all thinking like, "Oh, you think you're the first guy or whatever?" Like, no. Clearly, I'm aware of all the stuff that existed before me.
There's probably other podcasts and there's other videos, but it's not the ones that gravitate toward everybody. There's like some dude in his basement is like, "I learned screen printing." It's like that's not the dude you want to watch. It's like the dude that you want to watch is someone who's actually giving you like educated content.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's
there's
good
probably
to watch. It's digestible.
Yeah, there's probably fucking thousands of guys who made 2 or 3 videos that got 50 views on them out there way before I did. Right. But at the time that I started, there's only 3 or 4 people. I know like there was the Print Life channel, that was the one that I saw first and foremost. And I was like, wow, this guy's, I saw Cat Spit's video first actually. And that didn't do it for me, but then I saw his videos and like, this guy makes videos kind of like I make videos. This is awesome. This is something I can watch. So I watched his channel for probably a year before I even started screen printing. I really liked his stuff. And then there was a couple others. There was like the Mikey Designs channel was around at the time. And I think there was, T-shirt Chicks channel was around at the time too. And those were really the only ones I could find. So once I saw that, I was like, well, clearly there's a hole here that I can fill, and went after it.
No, I mean, I think even with the podcast stuff or with the video stuff, it's great. Like the more that's out there is great.
It's better for everybody.
Like it's better for everybody. I'm happy about it. I just think I just wanted to see if a lot of those people, are they reaching out to you for advice of like,
I don't know if they're directly
video stuff. Like
they're definitely not directly reaching out about it. There's been a couple that have, but I mean, I see all the stuff popping in my recommendations on YouTube all the time because I try to find it. I'm like you, I look around for it. And I definitely see a lot of visual cues from my videos and all the other ones, like just the way I shoot stuff, I guess, like angles or like the type of shot or things like that. I see a lot of that stuff in there, pretty much like 80% of it, which is awesome. So like, I guess they're taking the way I shoot stuff and being inspired by it somehow and adding to their own thing, which is really cool. Cause I did the same thing originally with Casey Neistat stuff years and years ago. I was like, this guy's the shit. I want my videos to look like his. And that's what I did before I developed my own style too. So I guess maybe that's happening with mine at the moment. I don't know if it is. Fuck yeah, that's cool.
Well, you just hit a milestone on YouTube, didn't you?
I'm about to hit the 100K mark. I'm getting close.
Do you get a sweet plaque for that?
You do. So I want that thing so bad. I've been doing this for like 6 years. I just want that.
Which one is that? Is that like the silver one or
the silver one? Yeah. You don't get the gold one till 1 million. So I don't know if that one's in my future, but the silver one definitely is. I fucking want.
But you got to 100K pretty fast, right?
Not fast.
How many did you have? How many did you have when you started screen printing?
I had a fair amount. I had like 20 something thousand, and that's what's funny too, because a lot of people are like, oh, I started with a big channel, so of course this shit took off. When I did my first video saying I'm not making bike videos anymore, I lost over half of them, like in the first week. immediately. I said, I'm going to start making videos about my brand and all this other shit. And everyone's like, oh, we're here for wheelies. We're here for Harleys. Fuck this guy. And they're out of here. And so like my channel just plummeted immediately right out of the gate. And then, but those first couple print videos, they took off quick, man. And I ended up, I saved a comment from when I first announced that, because some guy was like, well, here's the death of your channel. This is why people like it, blah, blah, blah. And just like, he talked shit at length, thinking he was super clever. And then my channel immediately tripled in size out of nowhere. And then, yeah, it's been growing ever since. But it's the one thing with YouTube, it's a game of consistency. And that's something I'm terrible at, because I got to focus on the business first. If I was making a video consistent every week the whole time since I started, I'd be miles further than I am right now. That's hard for sure. Dylan
and I, you know, are up against that too, because we put it out every Monday, and we've been good
so far. Every
week. That's tough though.
76
really
weeks right now.
Yeah. And like, I get people expect a certain standard out of me too. So like, I got to sit there editing for 13, 14 hours every fucking video.
The funny thing is you mentioned Cam, and like, that was something like I watched his videos again, because it's like, you know, print nerd stuff, anything screen printing. For me, it was like I don't want to say this in a negative way, but for me, it was like my trash TV when I get to work in the morning. You know what I mean? It was like, I come into work, I have my Dunkin' Donuts, I'm sitting down at the desk, I have my breakfast sandwich. It's like, oh, Cam's got a new video basically every fucking day.
Yeah, he was doing daily videos for a while.
He was doing daily, and he got on there. He's like, yep, this is my plan, like daily videos. And I was like, hell yeah, this is perfect, because I get here at 7:30. Nobody else gets here till 9. Like, it gives me like a half hour, 45 minutes to like watch some just trash videos. And then I'll start doing emails or whatever. And it was like, I look forward to that every morning. And then like some shit happened and he stopped doing daily videos. And then I was like, he would miss 2 days in a row, and then he would do a video, and then he would miss like a week in a row and stop doing a video. Yeah. And it got to the point where it was just not part of my daily routine anymore. It was like, well, maybe I'll watch them when I get around to it. And then people stop following because it's not in their routine anymore. So that's the thing with the consistency. And me and Andy have talked about this. Like, if we're going to do the podcast, we need to do it. Like, if we're going to do it every week, it needs to be Monday, because there's people that are just like, I don't remember why. Oh, it was Tony's episode. We did like 3 hours. And then it was like, we were like, fuck, this is way too long, dude. 3 hours is fucking long. And then like a couple episodes later, they were consistently like 3 hours. And as soon as one was like 2 hours, people were like, what the fuck? Like, I liked it. It's 3 hours. And it was just like, all right, well, I guess they're fucking 3 hours now. And we have no problem making them 3 hours anymore, because everyone we have is like a good guest, and we can have like a full on conversation. Like, a lot of time they're actually more like 4 hours, and we cut shit out down to get it to 3 hours, because it's like 4 hours, dude, that's long.
Yeah, I think that what's really tough is staying inspired. You know, like you mentioned Casey Neistat. I mean, he did a video every day, and he did it for over a year, I think. And then at some point, kind of like Cam, was it 2 years?
Like 2.5 years or something. He was daily without missing a beat.
That's insane.
Well, yeah, because like you said, editing is most of the time longer than shooting.
Oh, and the thing with him is like, there's a lot of daily vloggers out there that do it and do it no problem. But I mean, I could do it too if I fucking put no effort into editing something cool. He was doing it at a level that nobody was even coming close to. Like, he was editing really cool shit, telling a really good story every single day. Somehow I have no idea how he does that. I make a video like once or twice a month, and I'm sitting there like, how the fuck do I tell a good story here? How do I make this good? But he was doing it every single day. It was just unbelievable. And still to this day, no one's even come close to that guy. He is the king of YouTube forever.
Yeah. See, like, we do it once a week. And for us, it's like, we're so busy with normal day-to-day shit, like all week long. We're like, well, we have to do it on Sunday when like we should be at home in bed watching TV. But it's like, instead of that, let's put our time into Sunday. And just like, now it's routine. It's like, okay, I have a family, and they know at like 3:30, like, you're not going to see dad till like 10 p.m.
Yeah. That's, I guess the one advantage I do have is like, I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't have shit. This is all I got to do.
And it's a giant advantage.
It's a huge advantage. I'm not going to lie. Like, people always ask me all the time, how do you get so much shit done all the time? Like,
oh yeah, dude. I'm going to talk shit right now about my family, but like, it's the truth though. It's like, I've said this to my wife before. I'm like, how much further this company would be right now if we didn't have kids, or like me and you weren't together. Like, I would have so much more time to like, right now I have a problem with like work-life balance. It's not necessarily a problem because this is my passion. It's what I want to spend time on. But like work-life balance, it's like if I had my way, I would be here all day, every day. Like, yeah, I built the place out to be basically my home. Like, yeah, because if I'm bored as fuck at home and I have nothing to do, I'll come to the shop and I'll just dick around. Like I'll blare music. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to like do this, or I'll clean this, or I'll like fuck around on YouTube on my computer. It's like, I would be doing something in the shop every day if I could just hang out here.
Yeah. But is that true? Because would you be empty? You know what I mean? Would you be not as happy without your wife and kids? You know what I mean?
This is where we have to edit everything out that I say.
Shit's about to get real.
Do you really want to know the answer to that question?
I think that, I don't know. My guess would be if you looked at data and you looked at successful businesses, that most of the time, high percentage of time, that person is married and also have kids, you know, because
I'm not saying like, I definitely like my time at home with my kids. And like, that's something that like ever since Lindsay started her craft business, like I've had weekends, basically me and the kids. And it's nice because it's like, there's not two adults like being like, well, what do we do today? I don't want to do that. What do you want to do? I don't want to do that. And it's like, now it's like Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, kids, we're going to do this thing. And it's like me and the kids just go do something fun. Like yesterday we went to like the comic store. We went and got like used movies, and we went to lunch and we went to the diner, and like we fucked around all day. And it's like, that's just because I was like, get in the car, we're going to go do something fun. Yeah.
You know what? But that was healthy. Like that was really good for you to not be at the shop. You know, you went and did all of that stuff and recharged in a way that you maybe unconsciously or subconsciously don't realize. And that makes you stronger tomorrow morning.
But the problem is I have my kids and I love those little demons. But the thing is that I have them and they're mine and they're my responsibility. But yeah, I do love the fuck out of them. But if I didn't have them, like even when we were downtown, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, it'd be really cool if I could do this thing right now at work.
Yeah, you think that, but I understand where you're coming from, because that makes sense. Like, oh, if I didn't have these obligations, well, I could go all in on the business. It would be.
I'm not saying I want to take my kids right now and fucking like Thanos snap them and be like, they're fucking gone now. Like I can go do some more work. I'm just saying that like, if I didn't have them at all, I'd be like free to like do more shit or be at work longer and not feel guilty of like,
sure. I was just taking the side of
the silver spoon. Like, I don't want that shit. I want to be like, I'm doing shit with my kids.
I was just taking the side of, I don't think you would be fulfilled as a human being, and that would have a negative impact on your business. And you may not be as far Andy, further along than you think.
You don't know what you don't know. Okay. I don't know how it would be if I didn't have kids right now, but I'm just saying part of me is always just like, I can get some more shit done.
I feel you. I do. I understand. Because I wouldn't have like, so when I started Turnkey, I had just gotten a divorce and I had joint custody of my boy. And if
when you didn't have your kid, if he was at mom's house, you got way more shit done at work, didn't you?
True. Yeah. Truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Truth to that. But at the same time, if I didn't have him, he actually helped me. Like he put together a lot of stuff here. I mean, having him also gave me a reason to do all this shit. So I don't know, man. Like I think that there's something to it. I think that while you're right, you could focus and be more all in and you wouldn't be as distracted, but then something else would be.
I love how all of this sprawled off of the fact that Lee said he has no kids.
It's fine. It's fine.
He's like, you know what rules is I have no kids. And I was like, yeah.
I can't speak to any of it because I've never had them before. I've never been married. So I don't know what you guys have to deal with. That's very true. I spent a long time traveling the world doing.
There's a bunch of gremlins out there that look just like you.
There could be a little Russian version of me for sure out there.
He's going to show up at your door now.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of countries over the years. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Like I've never been in the position you guys are in. So like I don't know what it'd be like with or without it. I know without it, never having experienced it, I can get twice as much done as the guy next to me who has that, which is great. And like I feel great about it. I mean, like, I'm not sad. I'm fucking stoked. This is what I love to do every day.
Yeah.
And
my thing is, I don't want to sound like an asshole now because I was talking shit about my kids. But the truth of it is that I feel like it's a grass is always greener thing. You know, like I could say when it comes down to my business, if I didn't have a wife and kids, I'd probably get more stuff done. But like Andy said, like I could go home at the end of the day and I could sit home bored as fuck or like lonely because I'm just like, I have nobody here to like goof around with or have Nerf gun fights with or uppercut.
Right.
It's like, you would miss that. And I would definitely miss that. But I'm just saying, like, if I never had them to begin with, I just know in the back of my mind, like, I would be further along than I am now.
Yeah.
Long story short. Long story, extremely long. I mean, sorry.
No shit.
I had a note in here to ask you, like, how many times have you dropped, broke, or got ink all over your equipment, your printing equipment, or not your printing equipment, your camera equipment?
Oh, all the fucking time. Like, my cameras are constantly covered in ink. That's just happening. Dropping and breaking stuff happens a lot more than people realize. And what sucks is, like, I spend like top dollar on the best shit I can buy. So, like, if a lens hits the ground, like, that's like $2,000, $2,500, just, it's gone. It's out the window. And, dude, that shit's happened a while. This camera that I'm filming on right now, it was gone for like a month and a half because I broke it trying to fuck around with it like an idiot. I shouldn't have tried doing what I did, but I did something really dumb. And yeah, it cost me like $3,000. It actually cost me $7,500 in the end because I had to buy another camera to fill in for this one because this is my main camera. So I had to buy a whole other one to fill in.
Yeah, but now you got a spare.
Now I've got 2 super sick cameras, so I really can't complain about it.
Well, it sounds like
sucked.
You're taking a page from Casey because he says that your gear is meant to be used and it will get broken, Yeah. And so you can't baby it. You need to use it and put it in situations that sometimes are like risky, but you got to get that shot.
Yeah, I've never really had a problem with breaking shit because, like, I came from being a pro rider for however long, so, like, I smashed the crap out of everything in my path doing that. So I've never really had an issue with that. I've seen people.
I thought you were gonna say you broke some bones.
Oh, I've broken myself off a lot, but I've never had an issue with, like, physical objects. I've seen some people take their equipment or anything really, just like they want to baby it, keep it pristine all the fucking time, and I'm like, no, like, I want to use stuff and get what I can out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's like one of my favorite shows is Roadkill on Motor Trend, and they have like tons of GoPros, and they're constantly like breaking them, like running them over with the car, or they get smashed on something. And it's just like, that's just part of the deal. It's like I have an arsenal of like 20 of them.
Yeah, I originally started off as a motorcycle YouTuber, and GoPros, I was just burning through those things constantly, smashing them. It's just, that was part of the deal. That's part of why I went fucking broke and had to start a business.
Is there a next step in evolution to that you want to get to? Like, are you like, yeah, I'm going to get a red camera for the shop?
Oh, definitely. That's the next thing in my sights right now. This, like, the setup that I have now has been my dream setup since day one of starting it. Like, I started my channel with nothing. I bought a little $200 camera from a pawn shop that was guaranteed stolen off some fucking tourist.
Full of photos of a family.
Yeah, guarantee anything at a pawn shop is stolen, all of it. So I started off with that thing and built it up from there. But yeah, I started getting into YouTube and seeing these guys making videos with all this really cool gear, and their shit just looked amazing. And that just, I don't know, goes back to me wanting to do everything 100%. And I could never afford to do it. So now I'm at that level. It was nice to be able to get all this cool gear that I've always dreamed of having. And I thought that would be the cap for me. And then after having it all, I was like, well, now I need a red. Now I want all this other shit. That's 10 times more expensive.
How much have you spent, do you think, in the past year or two on camera gear?
I know in the past year alone, it's been like $40,000. And that's just in the past year. So I know that the total collection it's.
Well, you're selling off the old stuff, right? You just have a fucking case of all the old shit.
A fair amount of it. I've kept a couple things. Stuff that's either sentimental or stuff that might serve a use in the future. But most of the big stuff, I sell off. Like the main cameras, like I went from Canon to Sony, so all my Canon stuff, that all sold. And things like that I get rid of.
Do you buy from B&H?
No, not at all. I bought a couple things from there, but I'm in Canada, so it's a pain in the ass getting it across the border. You end up paying extra and have to wait extra time and all that type of stuff. So most of my shit comes from, we got Canadian versions, kind of like B&H up here. They're nowhere near as cool, or mostly Amazon.
Are you dealing with that a lot? Because it's funny, like, to me, it seems like a lot of people in Canada buy a lot of American stuff. Like, they buy a lot of stuff from here, but then they have to pay out the ass for it. Is it just not a lot of shit up there? Or is it just like, we have cooler shit?
Yeah, there's just not as like a abundance of supply, I guess, up here. I mean, you guys have way bigger, just everything down there is just absurdly huge all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah, your humans, shopping malls, all that type of shit. Everything is just like over the top all the time. So like a place like B&H is a fucking massive, like it's like the Walmart of cameras. It's huge. They have everything. We don't really have anything like that up here. We've got a couple camera stores there's like chains and stuff, but they're not big, crazy places like that. They're little tiny strip mall shops. And there's a fair bit of them, but
it's just funny. Like there's certain things, like I have friends that live like Canada. Like I have a bunch of people in Canada, and then I have people like in Australia and stuff, and they like buy the same shit that I buy, but they spend like way more for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, I don't know what the exchange is now from US to Canada. Canada is probably worth way more than American at this point.
Oh, I wish.
But it's just like inks and everything like that come from here to there. It's like we might spend $50 a gallon. You guys might be spending $75 a gallon.
Yeah, you got to pay that tax and duty with it coming across the border, plus all the extra shipping costs and everything else involved with it. So I try to order as much crap from here as I can, but if there's something I just can't get, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. So
now you're dealing with all that with the Ryonet stuff too? Is all the duty fees and everything of that?
Yes and no, I guess. How do I put it? I guess I mean, like I still have to, even though stuff is given to me, I still have to pay tax and duty of it with it.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like if there's some kind of, you're still paying fee on that. And that's something we've struggled with customers. Like we have a bunch of customers in Canada, and usually with the new customer, we have to warn them like, hey, there's going to be a duty fee on this. Like, it's not just like it ships to your door. Yeah. It's like, you're going to have to pay for this. So how does that work? I guess, cause I don't even know. Like, I know they get charged a duty fee, but what happens? Is it like a delivery service shows up and they're like, you owe us a check? Or how does that work?
No, it's usually through UPS or whoever you're shipping it through. They won't, once the package hits the border, whoever the receiver is or whoever's set to pay that amount, it could be the shipper or the receiver. You can set it to be one or the other. Then they'll email them a bill that's got to get paid up before it ever crosses.
So it sits there until you pay the bill?
Yep. A lot of the times it used to not be that way, but in the past year, it has turned into that.
Yeah, I've never known that. Like, I know that the customer has to pay that, and we warn them, and we have to put like, I have to sign 3 invoices, and I have to put them in there, and I have to put the tariff number to like save them money on the duty fees, because like if you don't put the tariff number, then they could classify it as kind of whatever they want, I guess, or there's a higher classification. Yeah,
you got to have the tariff, you got to have the country of origin, all that type of stuff in there so they charge the right tax amount on it.
Right. And that was something that, just for people listening, like I ran into before, is I never knew the tariff number part. Like I knew I had to like sign it and whatever, because the border would always call and they're like, where's the country of origin? And like, who is this for? What is this stuff in the box? So I learned, okay, I need invoice in triplicate. I need to sign the bottom of them. I need to put the country of origin on it if it's not already on the invoice. But then I found out from my UPS rep that you have to put, like, ideally find what t-shirt's tariff number is. Yeah. So I found that, and then I put the tariff number on. So then they knew exactly what to charge when it came to what taxation, I guess it was.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was helpful for the customers over there. But again, it's just like they have to pay a fee to get that shit. So
yeah,
I just looked it up. I was going to say, I just looked it up about why things cost so much more in Canada. And one of the things is...
Does it just say US is cooler?
That's debatable.
Fuck those guys.
They got maple syrup, but that's about it. Sales tax, because, depending on what province you're in, it averages around 13%. So I know sales tax where I'm at is more like 7 or 8. Just looking at that, I mean, it's double sales tax right there. So, that adds up, obviously.
Yeah, sales tax is a big thing up here, but I mean, that goes towards our whole system with the free healthcare, roads, and all the other shit. So it all comes Clean back air. To you in the end. Yeah. So, all right. But yeah, that's something I got to walk through with all my clients, because I would say, like 85% of what I print goes to the US.
I was going to ask you that, because I see you printing some stuff that comes over here. Are you dealing with the same kind of shit coming here? Because we rarely have to, like, shit just shows up at my door if I order it from Canada. Like, I don't have to pay anything weird or anything.
Really?
Yeah. Well, like, if you send me something, it's just here.
We actually get a refund. They give us money.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah. We dusted the box off first. We wiped it down.
No. Yeah, like my clients have to pay that same type of deal when it, like I get all the blanks and stuff within Canada, so I don't have to deal with any of that shit. But then when it goes across the border, they got to usually pay duties or taxes. You only have to do it is if it's over a certain dollar amount. So I think it's $250. I'm pretty sure. Once it's past that threshold, then you got to pay for shit.
Now I see you doing a bunch of stuff for Donnie. Does he keep feeding you work now? Donnie Conrad?
He's fed me a couple jobs actually, which is cool because he was super pumped on the way the stuff that I printed came out with his artwork. So yeah, he's fed me a couple clients now, which is awesome. And he's actually just finished doing a piece for us, which is going to be awesome too. Isn't it
so rad when you get a designer like that just does killer work and you look forward to it every time it shows up?
Yeah.
You're just like, this is going to look so good.
It's great, man. I had this idea for a design that I was just like, dude, this is his wheelhouse for sure. As soon as I told him the idea, he was just like, fuck yes, I'm doing that.
Did he post it? I think I might have saw it on his page.
Yeah, he put it up there a little bit. He put the rough sketch of it, not the completed version. We're still going to work on the completed version because I don't want anyone to see that until it gets printed on a shirt, because we're going to change some of the stuff. I told him not to worry about the text and the other stuff, like any of the word elements in it, because that's definitely,
I did see it.
Yeah, that's definitely our strong suit. So I'm going to kind of take his illustration and combine it with what we do so we can make something more collaborative and something.
Right.
Really
this design I'm looking at right now looks really good for a lot of your sponsors.
Yeah, right.
This is one of those that you should probably put one in every box.
Yeah, I can't wait to make that video. It's going to be hilarious watching the comments get lit on fire.
Yeah, it's real good. It's got a little element of every kind of R-rated thing that you can get.
Pretty much, yeah. A little bit of titty, a little bit of evil.
That'll help you if anything.
Oh, dude, it's great because people love that kind of drama, dude. And it's funny, like I'll explain the design. No one sees it yet, but it's like it's a squeegee sorcerer. So, and he's sacrificing a chick to the print gods or whatever. And there's like a pentagram on the table and the whole deal. Like, it's like exactly what you picture from like a B movie of like some satanic ritual going on. It's hilarious. Right. And that all came up because I printed 2 shirts in a YouTube video, 2 separate videos. One of them was that Triumph design that I did. It was like the Devil Rides Triumph. And it was a Donnie Conrad design, it's a fucking really, really cool shirt. And then one of our designs we did afterwards, it was I forget what video it was. I think it was like showing people how to use a highlight weight or something like that. And it was for my homie Shade Tree, and it had like a 666 on it. So I guess 2 people or a couple people saw those 2 videos get put back to back, and all of a sudden I'm labeled this like crazy Satanist. And, and like all of a sudden it was just like an army of people in the comments who are just like going off about that. And I was just laughing about it because that shit's funny to me. And afterwards I thought of like, man, I didn't even like try to piss anybody off with these designs. So imagine if I did.
Right. So you're going to use that design and you're going to put stalls on the back?
Right. So yeah, it's more or less, getting people to come back to that comment section over and over and over again.
You just like the negativeness because it just empowers you.
It's just, that engagement, man. That's what it comes back to on social media. The more engagement you can get, the better. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. It's more or less like I'm a heavy metal guy. That's the type of imagery that's fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool to me. And like, I want to make something that represents what we like here.
The shit you're into.
And it just happens that that's the type of stuff that seems to piss some people off. And I'm going to make a video about it, and it's probably going to piss some people off. It's highly entertaining.
And honestly, it goes back to the authenticity part of it. You could do the no swearing and, kissing and rainbows and all that shit, but it's kind of like, you're just being you. And it's just, if people want to watch it, then fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. Like, it may piss some people off, but some people who like you, they'll like you more. I mean, you have to stand for something,
exactly.
And if you want to.
I can tell you that like a bunch of the top YouTubers right now, what they're like in real life is entirely fucking different than what they're like on video. I know that for a fact because I've talked to some of them, and it's a whole night and day difference. And I don't know.
It's like for me, I try to tone it back slightly for this because I know every time I say something horrible, I can look in Andy's eyes and he's just like, oh, yeah. Like I'm going to have to tell Chad to edit that out. But it's also too, like you meet somebody or you go to a trade show and you do something and somebody's just like, oh, they're sitting there talking to you and they're just like, normally I don't have a filter. And I'm like, please take your filter off now and just talk to me like a normal fucking human being, please. Like,
Yeah.
No, it's weird. It's a weird spot to be in because I think that there's a certain level of responsibility of what we can or do say here every day. I mean, if the three of us were just here talking on our deck, over a beer or whatever, then of course it doesn't matter. But this is being recorded for, I think, for the rest of time. We'll be out there.
Yeah, it'll live on the internet forever.
the one thing I take out a lot is the dirty jokes. Like I throw some there. That's what she says in there. But my normal day to day, I learned from the master, my father, of dirty jokes. And I'm the filthiest fucking human being there is. So I try to keep most of that out of here.
Yeah. I scale back a little bit because I'm definitely a lot more vulgar and offensive in real life. But I mean, like I ride a bit of a line between being a professional and still being myself. It's kind of it's a weird balancing act. But I mean, the stuff that does get cut out, it's not anything important. Like it's not going to add to anything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm not changing my personality by any means to make a video or to do whatever.
No, I don't know how much of this you can say, and if you can't, that's totally fine. But when in the beginning, when you got, you weren't trying to do anything specific. You were just like, I want printing equipment. You did whatever anybody does. You're like, you went to screenprinting.com, probably saw the cool shit there, bought it, had it. Ryanette saw, oh, this dude's doing really great content and he has all of our shit already. How did that evolve into your partnership with them, and what is continuing to happen with that?
Oh, I'm an open book. I'll tell you whatever you want to know about that stuff. So when I started, I was drawn in by the videos. Ryan had made fucking thousands of videos on that channel for years. And that's why I jumped in with them right out of the gate, because it was like, these guys seem to actually give a shit. I looked at all the other companies out there, and none of them gave two fucks about people starting up. So these guys actually cared. So it's like, this is who I'm going to be on board with first and foremost. I didn't really look at the equipment or anything other than that. But then, so I got all my stuff from them, and I was talking to my sales guy at the time. I was actually complaining about some shit that I got from him, like within the first week or so that I had my stuff set up and started using it. It just came up or whatever that I was making a video at the time. And he was like, oh yeah, cool or whatever. And kind of just like brushed it off. Because I'm sure most people would. And I was like, well, I'll send you the link. And if you check it out, see what you think or whatever. And so I sent him the link, and he actually watched it and I was like, holy shit, this is actually good. And so that turned into a slowly evolving partnership, because I came from riding for a living, so I'm no dummy when it comes to sponsorships. That's how I used to make my living. And I knew what I was doing had value. So it started off, they started feeding me like some supplies and some things like that. And the more I made videos, the more traction they got, and they just kept that flow going more and more and more. And that floodgates kept opening wider as to what they were giving me, and which was amazing, because like, that's not something I expected. That's not something I set out to do by any means.
Well, originally, didn't they send you like fucking like 2 pallets of ink? Yeah,
that was the first thing they sent me. They sent me pretty much all the ink they had in their arsenal, and they had all made at the time. So they sent me a bunch of those shirts and some other stuff like that. That's how it started off. And I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. I got free shit for printing shirts. That's unreal. and then it slowly started turning into equipment and bigger things, to now it's developed into a very big partnership where I have my own signature squeegee and all this other stuff that's coming down the pipe with my name on it, and bigger and badder equipment, it's amazing.
Right. Well, the truth of it is again, like the amount of attention that you're getting on YouTube, and the amount of, like, I've talked to Ryan about this too, is like their bread and butter is the garage shop for the most part, because they're not just selling equipment, they're selling supplies. So those are the people that are buying all the squeegees and all the ink and everything else. So it's like they're looking at it as like, you're in that sweet spot where you're still there, and now you're getting to the next evolution of the next set of customers that they can deal with. And it's like, you just showing off all their stuff all the time and having the big platform is perfect for them as far as like a partnership. So
well, the value that my stuff has, looking from the outside in, is that it tells a fucking like a story from start to finish, of like starting the idea of like, I want to become a screen printer, starting my first
that's what
thing,
I mean. It's the whole
and
thing
evolving into something bigger and bigger and bigger, which is something that it doesn't exist. Mine's the only thing that exists like that. So that has a tremendous value to advertisers. Absolutely. They'd be stupid not to take advantage of that. And I'm going to tell you, some of the companies in this industry are stupid not to take advantage of it, because I've dealt with some of them that don't see that. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's cool to be in this kind of position. I can say that. That's it's not something I planned. That's for sure.
Yeah. No,
I think that you hit it though on the head with, I think that Ryanette, that their customer was the startup or the smaller shops and other equipment manufacturers or suppliers that wasn't their customer. And so maybe it didn't make sense to them. Well, why do we want to do a video of, all these educational videos of how to do things? So maybe it didn't make sense to them. But the thing is, and what's happened now, because Ryanette's been making videos for years, is that those small shops are growing up. And they are evolving and they're becoming larger shops, and all of a sudden they need an auto. And so instead of going to a different manufacturer to buy an auto, they stick with Ryan. And
it's brand loyalty too. Like, they were with them for so long. They helped them learn all the shit. And then when it comes time for them to get the next video, why would they switch? Why would they go anywhere else? Like, it makes no sense. Like, their next step is going to be like, oh, I've had fucking Riley and I had this and I had this. And now it's like, oh, I'm definitely getting a rock because I have a rep from Ryanette that I call once a week to order ink and everything else from. I'm just going to keep going. Yeah. And it's like, some other companies just aren't planting seeds. They're just being like, oh yeah, you already have 14 autos. We're here for you when you get your 15th.
Yeah. And they don't even give a fuck about the guy with the 4-color press in his garage. That doesn't even cross their mind.
Maybe they don't want to, but because maybe they just want to sell that 15th press. But eventually their market share it's going to shift. It's starting to shift, I think, already.
Yeah. So they got to pay attention to that garage guy, because that garage guy eventually might be the guy with the 15 autos. You know what I mean?
The thing is like, not to bash other companies, but it's the same thing too, of like, they just weren't part of that generation of the social media stuff. Like, Ryan came in hot. You know what I mean? Ryan knew,
he was in a band game for everybody, man.
Right. And that's the biggest credit I give to Ryan all the time, is he is the one that started the whole like internet, buying supplies, selling equipment, like killing it with that. Like, he's always done amazing marketing. Like, and that's the thing, is these other companies don't have that necessarily. They got into the game and they were making equipment and they were on the ground. They were going door to door, or not door to door, but like business to business, and being like, how can we help you? And then they buy an auto and they go from there. And then they grow to this behemoth company, and they're dealing with just trying to keep up making autos all day long. They have the staff to do this thing and make manuals and all this other stuff. They don't have time to be like, hey, let's just dump a ton of stuff into like making educational videos and dealing with somebody who wants to buy a 1-station 4-head manual. It's like, now they got to play catch up.
Yeah. It's a whole different age than a lot of the other companies are used to, I guess. Like, they're used to the old school way of advertising, which is useless today.
And completely. Dylan, like you said, it's an old school of thought, because it was going to be M&R that Ryanette sold, and they said no. Eventually they made the decision of, we're not going to sell autos over the internet, and so
I heard the other part of that story too, though, is kind of like, Ryanette wanted to be able to sell autos to anybody over the internet. Like, they wanted to be able to whatever. But the thing with M&R is M&R had like local distributors. You know what I mean? Like, you have one in St. Louis and I have one here and whatever else. Like, they didn't want to piss off companies they've dealt with forever that had local distribution. And they didn't want to be like, oh, well, I have a guy in your territory that just bought something off the internet, rather than coming to us and buying a press. So that was the problem, is they didn't want to be able to just spread it all over the place. They wanted to be loyal to their distribution, which I get, but it's also part of the thing of like, you kind of missed out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd say so. Yeah.
I mean, that's why I said it goes both ways, and I get it. I just feel like they hit the nail on the head when it comes to like being with the times of people on the internet and social media and everything else. Like, they were the first ones there. So,
yep. And that's, like I said, that's why I ended up going the route that I was going. I saw the videos and saw what they were like as a company, and just like this.
I agree with you.
That's who I want to work with, for sure.
I'm not knocking it in any way at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you made that decision based on the fact of, you go to fucking Google, you type in screenprinting.com. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, that's the dumbest thing
valuable.
Ever. Yeah. It's like, and you don't have to know anything about anything. You're just like, I want to learn about screen printing. Let's try screenprinting.com and see what comes up.
Right.
It's like, you're there. And
you guys get the emails where it says like, hey, I will sell you winnipegtshirts.com for X amount of dollars or whatever. Do you get those emails?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I
had one that I actually really wanted, like really did want. I've been trying to go back and forth with the guy because I went on GoDaddy to find this one URL, and it was owned by someone. The guy's fucking trying to get me to give him 17 grand for it. It's unreal.
Well, it's funny. I talked to Ryan about stuff, and he was talking about how they had ryanet.com or whatever. And then they wanted to get screenprinting.com. They ended up getting it. And then there was a local, where Ryanet's from, there's like another local screen printing supply place or whatever. And they made a website called fuckryanet.com. And it goes to their website or whatever. And I was like, that's so amazing. Like, that's such a fucking baller move.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
So anyway, you're doing great things with them, and they're definitely seeing results. So they're going in even harder with your new setup, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, like, I haven't let the cat out of the bag yet, but this is going to come out after my video comes out on it anyways. So yeah, I've been keeping it a secret as to what auto's showing up in the shop.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point.
Obviously, it's going to surprisingly no. Most people thought it was an M&R or an Anatol. Like, I would say the vast majority. It's weird.
Like, why would you even?
Yeah, why would I? I don't know. But anyways, so it is a green press showing up. It's all green gear. And yeah, they backed me up big time. Cause like, well, you know a little bit about what was going on at the time. I mean, there was other offers on the table when it came time to move into the shop, some fucking terrible, some very good, some writing me literally a blank check. And, it comes back to loyalty for me. They were there from the beginning. They jumped in like when no one else gave a shit about what I was doing. I've had other companies literally talk shit about what I was doing and then come back and try to fucking get on board.
That's the best.
Yeah. That's
like rewarding for you.
I won't mention who it is, but it's one of the biggest ones you can think of. And it felt real good to tell them to get fucked. So yeah, that was a thing, but yeah, they were with me from day one, and they've been supporting the shit out of everything that I wanted to do. Anytime I had a cool idea, or, the thing with the signature squeegee coming up. I mean, like, that's never happened before. Why would it? I mean, that's never ever been a thing. And that when that came up, they were just, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Just no questions asked. And so, yeah, I'm going to stay with them indefinitely because of that, because they're loyal to me. I'm going to be loyal to them. And that's what matters most to me. Mm-hmm. So,
well, congratulations, man. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
I'm proud of you, bud.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's cool. I think we're breaking new ground here with some of this stuff, which is neat. I guess.
And that's what we were kind of going at in the beginning, is like the haters on certain things. It's like, those are the people that just aren't, I don't know, if they're just not in it for the right reasons. You know what I mean? They can see other printers and respect other printers, even though we're all in the same space. It's like, I would rather talk to people and learn things from people than to just be like, oh, fuck that guy. Like, I don't know. Right. I feel like you did it your own way, and you're doing it really, really well, and you're getting rewarded for that. You know what I mean? Like, we're all trying to do something, like, like me with M&R. And my thing was kind of the opposite of just like, and I've told the story before. It's like, when I was younger and I was like, 17, 18 years old, and I wanted to get into screen printing, for me, it was like when you had those like dance comp magazines of like bicycles when you're in high school, and you're like, oh, one day I want to have this, or, you're looking at some car magazine, and you're like, oh, one day I want to have that. For me, it was like, one day I want to have an M&R shop, because all my heroes in screen printing all had M&R presses. And I was like, one day I want to get an M&R press. And I didn't have the money, and I bought, cheaper presses or no name presses. I've had some manuals. I don't even fucking know what brand it was. It was just like, it was a manual, and I was like, I could afford this. And then I finally got my first M&R, and I was like so proud of it. And, then I bought an M&R dryer, and then I got another auto, and I got all this stuff. And I was just like, man, I've got my fucking like M&R shop I've always wanted. And then it was the same thing of like, you see these videos and all this stuff coming out about like all this other equipment, and you're just like I worked my ass off to get these. Like, stop showing off all this other stuff. And then you're just kind of like, you got that mode of like, well, I need to talk to people about what I have because I know it's really good and I know a lot about it, but there's nobody else to do it. So then I started getting involved on my own. I was like, well, I'm going to make videos about this press, or I'm going to, show off this stuff or whatever. And then now I'm involved, where, I love the company and I like working with them, and I'm trying to go the other route of like, we need to get in the game more. I just in it for the fun of it and, learning new things and getting relationships with people. But it's just like, I just love the industry. I don't care. Like when I go to a shop, I don't care what press you have. I just hope that you have enough knowledge to have a conversation with me to be like, let's talk about printing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you have Rhinonet stuff. Like, I don't care.
No,
I just want to know if you're like having trouble with your white in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean? Like, I don't care.
It's weird. That's even a thing. Cause like there is that weird, like battle of the fucking equipment going on with some people. It's that Ford versus
Chevy bullshit.
It's so like, weird. I don't get it.
You know what I mean?
It's like, I think people put too much emphasis on
the color
the success of their shop, on what equipment they have. And when that really is, for the most part, meaningless. If you're talking about the major equipment manufacturers, you can't go wrong.
They all
what you can go wrong is every day at your front counter, or however you onboard business, however you market yourself. That's the most important thing. It's not if you have a green or blue or red or whatever color press you have.
Yeah, they all print
it's the same
shirts.
thing. Like Lee from like the motorcycle industry, and like I know from like riding motorcycles and stuff. It's like if you show up at a motorcycle show and you're not riding a Harley, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like some dude could just love fucking riding motorcycles. Like I could have a Honda and I could just ride the shit out of it. Like love riding. I ride all over the place. And there's this dude who has a Harley that rides it once every 6 months, but that dude's cooler than I am in the like with motorcycles because he has a Harley versus a Honda. And it's like, dude, there's people printing shit that is way cooler than blows my mind. And they're running fucking some hunk of shit they made out of plywood or something. You know what I mean? It's like, there's a million ways to do the same process. And, it doesn't really matter what color it is. Yeah. We love the companies we love because of the support and the loyalty and everything else.
Right.
But all in all, in the end of it, it's just, are we all printing shirts and do we love what we're doing?
That's really what it comes down to, man. That's it. They all do it the same or a little bit different from each other, but at the end of the day, like it's not that serious. We're making shirts.
Right.
At the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time though, I know that decision of, going from a manual to an auto or just buying a press. Let's say you don't have any equipment and you're trying to buy some equipment. It's a really hard decision because you don't know, you're kind of going into it blind. And so that's why it's perfect when Lee, you have a video and you can take away some of that guesswork. You can say, okay, well, look, Lee's doing that. He's using this press. It's working.
He produced this product.
Right. And so, I mean, it takes some of the guesswork out of it because it's scary. Who do you trust? Because you're getting ready to plunk down your life savings in some instances. And you don't want to get screwed because there's people out there that will screw you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, like a lot of the manufacturers, they're all making their own videos and that's not going to help anyone buy anything.
It's not.
Of course, they're going to say their shit's the best. That's
right.
The way it is. Whereas someone like me, I'll tell you if it's good or it's bad or whatever, which it's something I'm trying to work more into now. Because obviously I've got sponsorships and whatnot, but my sponsorships are all wide open. Like this is something I made everybody agree upon when working with me that I'm allowed to try other stuff. I want to make videos with other equipment. I want to be able to put things head to head, different supplies, different equipment to give people a better idea as to what they want to get, as to how well it works and stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So even though I'm sponsored and have a green press, I'd like to be able to put a different color one in there for a day or two if a company will let me, just to try it out, show people what I like, what I don't like about it, and so on, and then go back to my stuff.
I would love to do that kind of stuff too. I'm asked all the time, like, Andy, should I buy a Cobra or a Sportsman? And I would love to be able to have a video that does a versus, like even the same brand. Like here is a M&R Sportsman 8-color, here is a Cobra 8-color, same colors, same brand, same manufacturer that is, but here are the differences because I don't think people generally don't know. Like they don't before, like, why should I spend the extra on a Cobra? Well, here's why. Like maybe you shouldn't, maybe the Sportsman is actually the right press for you. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on your shop. And so if you have a versus video, this press versus that press, it would be hugely beneficial.
Oh, it'd be massive. Yeah. Even down to the small stuff, man, like inks or, cleaning supplies, whatever it is, like it's being able to show people the variety out there and what's best of each one is just going to make them more informed in their shop as to what's going to work best for them. And it's tough. That's like been a hurdle trying to get around now because I do have sponsors attached to me that other companies automatically think that I'm going to talk shit about their product or something by giving it to me. And like, that doesn't benefit me at all. Why the fuck would I do that?
We've had that with the podcast. Like we've had offers from manufacturers to be like, we'd love to support you guys. And it's even people that like we fucking both use all the time. But our argument with them was like, you're not going to want to sponsor us because we're going to have fucking Leon and we're going to talk about nothing but Ryan for fucking 3 hours. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be tied down to feeling guilty towards a sponsor to be like, well, we can't talk about another company or we can't talk about this guy's experiences with this company because M&R or Rock or Anatol or whatever is paying us to be a part of the show. Like, fuck that. No, I want to be able to talk to anybody I want to talk to. And I want to openly talk about the benefits or the negatives of whatever they have.
Yeah. Like, that's how it should be. For some reason, some people aren't on board with that. I know the companies I work with they're 100% open to the way I do things. They don't, and that's a stipulation before I even sign any piece of paper is that I'm able to do stuff like that. Just because of my days in the past, that was always an issue all the time. And I know better now. And it's a different age now. I don't want to just be seen as like a shill for a company. You know what I mean? I want to be able to test other products, and it allows me to make more content, which is the goal at the end of the day. So being able to do that kind of stuff with other products and test things, make things go head to head, I'd love to move towards that in the future. So hopefully I can get some more people on board.
When you are doing the content stuff, I know a lot of it is more based on how to print something or using this piece of equipment or whatever. Are you planning on showcasing more of the actual customers you have or more jobs that you're printing? Yeah.
So I have like a whole plan for what my content is going to evolve into over time now that we're in this new space and the stuff that's happening in the future with it. So I definitely want to keep focusing on, helping people get started in printing and evolving that way, because that's obviously hugely beneficial. So that's literally the only reason I have a manual moving into the shop, is so that I can continue along with that kind of content, because a lot of the people watching my channel can't relate to having an auto. So I want to be able to show them both. But I definitely want to, as I delegate more tasks off to other people, as I was mentioning earlier, giving me more time to make more stuff, I definitely want to show more of what happens around here with customers or what goes into a job, because there's certain things that you can't just make a video about. Like, a lot of people ask for our videos about our designs because we have Dan here, who's a fucking killer designer, and we put out a lot of amazing artwork. That's incredibly difficult to make a video about because some of that shit takes weeks. So I'd like to show more just behind the scenes of what's going on here. So what goes into that, or maybe making like a documentary of like a mini doc of like how a font is created or something like that, because that takes months a lot of the time, things like that. So I definitely want to evolve more into showing other aspects of this place and just making more videos in general, rather than just like once a week of here's a new print technique or a fucking piece of product or whatever. Have a couple videos come out a week, whereas one's one of those, another one's more of like a vlog based around what's happening here with the clients and the workflow and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Now, you having all this camera shit and you having the knowledge to do whatever you want to do video wise, do you have aspirations to make like other content, like make a short film or more video of doing? Definitely. I know, like, this is kind of how, like, I feel like Golden Press operates, is they were just like, oh, we learned how to make cool videos in our shop, and they were like, why don't we do this for like customers? That's
something that is going to be a part of this business, probably starting in 2022 at some point. Is we have the skills for video and photo. I want to bring another person in who's good at that kind of shit, for A, to help me with the channel, and B, so that we can make it more of a commercial part of the business, so that we can be more of a one-stop shop. So they can come in, here's my idea for my clothing brand. Cool. It goes off to Dan. He designs it, makes it look sick, comes off to me. We print the fucking thing. And then it goes off to the final process. Here's your web content. Here's your product photos for your website. Here's a couple videos and blah, blah, blah. And it goes out the door. So I think that would be, that's a no-brainer for us to add, because I already have all the gear. We have the skills. It's just a matter of adding it to and putting in more time.
Right.
So,
and then you can charge a premium too, because they could do the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun. I mean, that's
a headache for a lot of brands too, is, if they're just starting out or whatever, even if they're not just starting out, they're always like, oh, I got a photo shoot. I got to hire somebody to come out.
I'm good at that stuff, and it's a pain in the ass for me. So I can't imagine somebody who's not, like someone who's,
I know what I'm saying. How rad would it be to be like, I need these shirts printed, and you're just like, oh, I can also like model these on my sexy body, and like, you know what I mean? You're just like, oh, you need a dude that looks like me. Cool. I'll take these photos. Or even just like a girl or whatever, you could get somebody in and take good photos and just be like, hey, here's your apparel. Also, here's your files.
Yeah. We used to do stuff like that. I would give them marketing. I would give them content, whether it was just a quick video of their shirts printing or a pic or something like that, as a value add for actually at no charge, but then I thought, like, as you're saying that just now, it could really be something that we could charge for, if you're not just for brands, for merch, for a restaurant or a company that is trying to raise money, like for a fundraiser or anything like that, we could give you content that from here I guess for a certain cost. I don't know how to charge for that or anything like that, but it's something that you could do.
$1 million.
Oh, definitely. That's just like in the last house, how I ripped that one apart to be a screen printing shop in the basement. This one here, this house is quite a lot bigger than the other one. This one's 1,600 square feet, and the basement is, I'd say 1,400, give or take. That one's getting completely turned into a studio right away. Once the shop is done and all the equipment's in there and we're running, then that's the next project on the list. I'm going to build that whole basement out into one big studio so that we can move forward with that idea.
That's awesome. No, I mean, that's the benefit to going to Rogue Lab versus going to the guy down the street, is that you have something to offer. You know what I mean? You're not just putting ink to shirt.
I would like this place eventually. My goal since day one of starting the thing would be to be able to just hand someone a turnkey business. They come in, I want to start this clothing brand called whatever, Totally Fucking Awesome Shirts. And so cool. Here's the thing. We started, it just comes in one door and out the other as a finished product. Every possible step of the process that you need done to get that thing up and running, we can do. That would be amazing, because like even with established businesses too, that would be huge, because how many of them have to go, I go to this guy to get my shirts made. I go to this guy for my keychains. I go to this guy for fucking my signs, and they got to go to so many people. Whereas they could have one phone call to make, one email to send, and it's done. All the quality control is handled by the same people. And it's simple. So I think that would be a huge benefit to people. And with me having, I guess, the advertising power that I have on YouTube, it would be a great benefit to a lot of them to jump over here to that afterwards, because like here now you're getting all this free advertising for hundreds of thousands of people with your shirt in the video kind of thing. So it's
and it's just one of those things, like especially in this industry, what they always ask you is what makes you stand out over the other guy. And it's like, you have those skills. That's why you're where you are with certain things, is because you have those skills. So it only makes sense to be able to offer that to your customer.
Yeah, I think that's the goal anyways. So it's going to probably take a few more years to get that all ironed out, and hopefully we get there.
Well, do you have any questions for us?
A million. Fuck. I'm just getting my first auto, man. We could sit here for another 3 hours. Okay. You guys are like the ninjas. You guys are like two of the shops that I look up to since day one. So, I mean, we could sit here, do a whole podcast. You guys being on the other end of this. I'm taking over Shirt Show.
I like when people ask questions.
So, but yeah, like it's a huge transition. Obviously, that's something that I don't know anything about, that I'm going to learn pretty fucking quick, that it's going to, slap me in the face a few times for sure. And I mean, you guys are running shops with multiple machines, huge amounts of employees. Like, I think like Andy, you got a lot of employees.
Andy's got like 900 employees at this point.
You got a lot of people there.
Just hit 900. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been following both of your shops for probably I don't know, a year, maybe a year and a half before I even picked up a squeegee. So like I've been watching you two for a long time.
Well, the thing is, I feel like with most of it is just like you don't know what you don't know, and then you get there and you figure it the fuck out. A lot of it is trusting in certain people and asking a lot of questions. I know you do that. Like, I'm just saying that, like, if you go on like this podcast, or you go just on Instagram and DM people. There's a lot of people out there that are really, really fucking skilled at certain areas of this industry that are very open to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Like with anybody, you could email somebody and be like, oh, talk to me about water-based sinks, or talk to me about an auto or whatever. And they're like, okay, cool. You got 4 hours to have a conversation. So I think that's a lot of it, is just ask as many fucking questions as possible. But the biggest thing when people ask me, they're like, oh, well, if I had a manual and I'm getting an auto, like, what should I know? It's like, all right, well, do you have the right air compressor? Do you have a chiller? Do you have power? Do you have 3-phase? Do you have enough power to where if you get an auto, are you just going to be at the very top of your peak power, or do you have room to grow and add flashes and everything else? And it's like, how many flashes did you order? Did you get a press that has winged flood bars? Did you, there's like a million variables, and it's like, they're just like, what did you say? Like,
yeah,
I just bought the machine. And it's like, all right, well, are you running it by yourself? Do you have 2 people? Do you have a dryer capable of keeping up with that press? I know Ryan already hooked you up with all that, but I'm just saying, for most people, those are the questions of just like, there's probably 100 variables when it comes into taking that jump. It's not just buying a piece of machinery and plopping it in your room.
No,
like,
definitely.
You need to think of everything that goes along with that.
Yeah, there's tons. Like, I mean, here I had to get a 3-phase converter installed because we don't have 3-phase. This is residential over here. So I got to get this big ass solid state converter installed in here that costs a fortune just to run this thing. We had a whole new service brought into the building.
Did you look into getting 3-phase?
Yeah, it's
stupid money.
It's ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. The stuff that I upgraded to 600 amp service here, and that alone was already stupid amounts of money. Plus the converter is like 17 or 18 grand. It's nuts. I could have got a rotary converter, which would have been nice. That's what I wanted. But our local fucking assholes who run the show when it comes to doling out permits, they don't know how electricity works, and apparently thought that thing was going to fucking shut down the power grid. So they're forcing me to buy this fucking big crazy one just to get my shop running. Mm-hmm. So that was one of those things where I just had to, bend over and take it. But it's nuts. I'm hoping we can get 3-phase here in the future. I mean, 600 amps will get me a long way for sure. But there is more commercial stuff happening here over the next few years, like closer to where I live. There's like a big empty field out front, and that's slowly going to start turning commercial. So once that does, then getting 3-phase over to here is going to be nothing.
Yeah. See, that's how I got lucky with my places there. I was only 1 pole away from 3-phase. So I only had to pay for them to run wire from 1 pole to the next, and they added 2 transformers in and then dropped it to my building. But like I said, if you're like, oh, I bought this house and I got this perfect opportunity to get this warehouse in the country and it's going to be awesome. And then you're like, I'm going to buy an auto. And they're like, cool. Do you have 3-phase power? And you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you already, like, say you already bought the house, you painted it, you furnished it, you spent all this money on it, you got the barn, you did the whole thing. And then you found out that you couldn't put an auto in there because you didn't have the correct power. Like, how much of a kick in the dick is that?
Yeah, it'd be awful. Yeah, it's right now, I think the closest 3-phase is like half or 3/4 of a mile away. So it's a pretty good run. Like that's like a $50,000 run for sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's got to wait. I mean, there is other stuff I mentioned in the last video that I put out that like, there's a lot more big changes and upgrades happening here, which.
Yeah, but you can do those slowly.
Yeah. There's one that's happening. That's like, and people are going to shit their pants when they see it. It's substantial. So when that happens, that's hopefully when I think we'll be able to pull the 3-phase here, whether or not they have that commercial property started up in the front or not. It's got to happen because
Well, Dylan, he covered like the checklist of stuff, which maybe Ryanette provides too, or Rock, I should say. Like, look, you're going to need all of these things before we ship it. And so that's pretty well covered. I would say my advice is the transition from manual to auto is just to take it slow, because I think it kind of comes in phases. I think that, initially you're going to get have this auto, and loading a shirt and then just toggling down and watching an index once and it prints a shirt, and then you just load a shirt all by yourself, index, and just that's so much better and so much faster because you're printing 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 colors at the same time. And so that already is so much faster. And I think that you'll get used to that and you'll be like, wait, can I go faster? And you'll start to figure out ways to actually go faster than that. Like, oh, well, if I burn 2 whites and how can I go faster? I don't have to, flash and send it around. Or if I, set the job up this way or that way. Like we have times where we will like have a strategy session for 5-10 minutes on how to even like what is a good print order here, or if we printed it here and we put the flash there, can we go faster? And so that's not stuff you think about though initially. You don't even have to think about, because you're going to be going from like a manual press to an auto, which already is so much faster. And so I just think it evolves over time. Don't go too fast. Don't expect to be like, oh, I'm going to run this auto like Dylan does, on a daily basis out of the gate, because it takes time. Just like that manual took some skill. And I'm sure maybe you've already considered this or know where people have told you this before. But, it took me, and actually anybody that trains here, what's funny is they don't have the advantage of being on a manual, and they all of a sudden are trained into how to be on an auto. I would say that it takes a solid year to learn how to run an auto pretty fast, I should say efficiently, because you don't want to go the fastest you can, because you're going to have mistakes, but like to run it at 80% of your top speed. I think that it takes a while to figure that out, and all those efficiencies, why, and you have to learn your machine, just like you have to learn that manual. Every press, even if it's the same exact Cobra, there's 100 Cobras out there right now. Every single press is slightly different. They have the nuances of like, whoa, this head, like if I go over and run our 10 color Sportsman right now, that's 2012 that we've had since 2012, has millions of prints on it. And I started to run it. I would not run it as well as Brian, the guy who runs it every day, because he can say, oh, you need to do this. This head right here is likes you to have it more.
You got to
pressure.
rub it first.
Right. It's just the way it is. And yeah, it needs to be tuned up or something like that. But he knows his press. He knows how to run that press. Like you learn a car, like you learn a bike. You just learn how to ride it.
Well, this is a thing too, like we've talked about with multiple manufacturers, is they like to say, oh, this press can do, 900 shirts an hour. And it's like, hey, fuck you. The average printer does not want to be at a 1.5 second dwell, and everything else. It's like exactly what Andy said, like go at your own pace. Like when we train someone on the auto, we pull out the foot pedal. Like the foot pedal rarely gets used. It only gets used for like weird locations or like hoodies that have like a weird print where they have to use the laser on everything. It's like, but that printer that's just starting out, I'll be like, hey dude, like take your time loading, make sure the shirt's straight, do what you got to do, get the feel. When you're ready for the next shirt to go around, hit the foot pedal. Mm-hmm. Like don't put it on auto and be like in 5 seconds and be like, oh my God, like loading it. It's crooked as fuck. Hits the next print, or he pallet prints every other fucking shirt. It's like, just take your time, learn the machine, get the feel for it and whatever. And we've had this conversation, but I feel like for someone to get fully trained on the auto, to like know all the pressures and angles and like different inks to use for different materials and everything, to feel the flow of that press and know you can print almost every job that will fit on that press, takes like about 1.5 years, in my opinion, to be like fully, this is my press. This is everything I can do.
And then still sometimes you run slow just for a reason, because something's going on. I remember when we went to that shop in Nashville a few days ago, and we were standing looking at this Gauntlet 3 badass press, and these two people were running it, and that dude was like, hey, don't judge me.
Yeah,
right
he was
now.
super like, please don't judge me.
I'm going slow, because he was printing on those fucking alternative sponge hoodies or whatever. And he's like, don't judge me. These hoodies suck. And so we're like, oh no, we know.
But he was being smart about it. He wasn't just like, I got to get these done. He told us straight up too. He was like, I'm running these super slow, so I know that every single one of these is done correctly, and there's no issues, and I'm not ruining any of these hoodies. And he was at probably like a 10, 11 second dwell or something.
It was going pretty quick though still. I mean,
right, but I'm saying like
way faster than a manual.
He was going at that tortoise pace to make sure that every single one of those hoodies looked perfect, instead of being like, oh fuck, I got to keep up.
Yeah, that's the guy you want too. And that's actually something, that's definitely a question I got for you guys, is when you're bringing in someone to run a press, are you bringing in someone with experience, or are you training them to run it? One idea that I had, because I don't have experience running one yet, and I want to bring someone in to run it as soon as possible. So that's where I'm like, can I even train someone to run it? Because I don't even really fucking know what I'm doing yet. So I'm bringing in someone to run it. My idea was like, I want to make them fucking run the gauntlet first. Like I want to make them work here for a whole day. Like you set up a whole print, start to finish. You make the fucking screens.
I thought you meant run a gauntlet, like a gauntlet.
Oh, no.
No, as soon as he said that, I thought that too. And then I realized what he was saying.
Make them set up the screen, set up the job, run off some shirts, like do a whole thing before, to see what they can do beforehand. Have you guys brought in guys that are good to go right out of the gate, or have you trained everybody?
I feel like there's two ways of thought on this, and it depends on your shop and it depends on how picky you are. And I know you're a picky motherfucker. So I think for you, the best thing is to get a green person, like someone who's never printed before, but is a good person, because then you can train them with all of your knowledge and skills and make sure, like I have that here where I tell everybody out there, like, I would rather you take the time and do this 100% correctly and right to make sure the quality is there before you just try to haul ass on this job and get it out the door. Like, take your time. If it takes this much time to do this job, that's what it takes. Like, it is what it is. We just got to make sure it's done correctly. Like, don't cut any corners. I feel like you're that same way where you might know a guy who's ran that rock press or whatever in some other shop, but that shop's mentality was, we've got to get 65 jobs out on this press today. And they're just fucking cranking and they do the whole thing. So that dude's going to get hired by you and he's going to come in and be like, I'm going to impress the boss and I'm going to get all these jobs done today. And you're like, cool. Well, you had a 8% misprint allowance on these. Like you had 8% misprints and half of them were crooked. And yeah, you got the job done, but like, was it really done correctly, or was it just done to get out the door and it's passable? Because I feel like you're not at passable. I feel like you're like, no, the customer's going to be impressed with every single one.
We want them to open that box and be like, holy shit.
So that's why I feel like it's like buying a used car. You know what I mean? Like, do you get the guy who owned the car before, who loved the car, has the maintenance record in the glove box? Or are you getting the guy who just beat the fuck out of that thing and did e-brake stops at every fucking corner? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're getting when you get somebody who has experience, is who trained them and what mentality do they have beat into them. Yeah. But if you get somebody totally green that's just like, yeah, I want to work for you, you're like, all right, cool. Well, this is how we do this. Yeah. But so I do feel like for you jumping onto an auto and never had it before, either A, you have to run it yourself for 6 months or a year or whatever to learn everything about it so you can share that to somebody else. Or you hire a consultant to come in like Ryan and they train that person for, a week or whatever. And they don't leave until that person's like up to speed to be able to run majority of what you're trying to do on that press.
Yeah. See, that's a cool option actually, which is something that didn't even cross my mind. So I'm glad you just said that, but that's what's weird. That's where I'm like, again, we're in kind of like, I'm in a bit of a unique position just because of the amount that my shit gets out there and has been seen by so many people. I've got fucking mountains of emails and DMs of people that want to work here, that want to come be a part of this place growing and what's going on, which is amazing. Some of them, no experience at all. Some of them highly experienced, it seems like, just by looking at their Instagrams or whatever. So it's something I've been struggling with because I know that's a hire that I need to make like very, very soon. And I kind of feel the same way about it as you do, where I kind of want to train someone with my habits rather than trying to fix their old ones.
Well, it's that old dog new tricks thing too. Like, you might hire somebody and they might get the job done. But then when it goes to being normal, like say they're trying to impress you for like 2 weeks or whatever. They're like, all right, let's do everything that Lee said and I'll make sure that he's okay. And then when you're like, all right, well, I got to go do this video thing, or I'm going to stick to the garage and I'm going to do all these wraps or whatever the hell it is you're going to do. He's going to be like, all right, cool. Like, he's not here today. I'm going to do this the way I want to do this. And then you go out there and you're like, hey, I actually found out from Ryan that they have this new ink and it's going to print better with this, but we got to do it at this speed and it's got to be this pressure or whatever. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. And then you give them the ink and they just print it the way they've always printed ink before. And then you're looking at the results. You're like, this doesn't look good. And they're like, well, I printed it. But it doesn't mean that you printed it the way that you wanted them to, because they were like, I know better than this guy. He doesn't fucking print. I print all day.
Yeah.
I think you had it. I think you had it right. I think that you said earlier in the show that, you want to hire somebody to do a lot of the stuff, like that busy work stuff that you don't have time to do. And so that first hire, or that next hire, I should say, is going to be that person that's washing screens, that's assisting you and doing whatever you need, like taping up screens. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, they're assisting you, because then they'll get that foundation of the whole gauntlet of the thing. They'll get that foundation down. And then while you learn the auto, because I think that you're going to do a good job of it. I mean, you've learned everything else so far. You're going to be documenting the process. I think it's important that you make those videos and you make a mistake on the auto. Like when you do something wrong and you're like, hey, guess what? I can do this better. And so if you're documenting this process, then you're documenting the ups and the downs and the good days and the bad days. And so you'll learn that. And before you know it, because you already are an experienced printer, and then that person that's there, that's sort of your protege, you know, they're learning, they're an assistant. All of a sudden they're going to know how to do that stuff too. And they're going to learn along with you even. And so, and by you teaching, you know, and by you making these videos and teaching that person, him or her, and yourself, you actually learn more. And so I think that first hire is, Dylan's right, as a green person, is only doing basic stuff and then is right there with you as you grow into this auto. And then you'll have your SOPs, and then you hire somebody else and you say, hey, guess what? You're going to be press assistant. And you start off out of the gate day one as a press assistant on the auto, you know? And so that's how we do it here. We hire mostly people that have never printed, never been in a screen printing shop before, but we hire just positive, good energy, good vibe people. Occasionally we hire somebody that
personality
has printed
first
before.
Yeah.
Personality first.
Dude, I've been saying that the whole time because I've had so many people already like send me resumes and stuff.
Fuck that. I throw them away.
Me too. The first thing, like you said, like they gotta match what we're like, our work environment and all. Like we listen to fucking death metal all day. So
my biggest thing is personality, and are they going to sue me for saying horrible things?
Yeah, that too. I mean, like my mouth.
Like those are the two criteria you need to work here.
Yeah, when the camera's off, dude, my mouth can get me in trouble.
It's on Dylan's job application. Are you going to sue me if I say some horrible shit?
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, that's one thing. I've had tons of resumes sent and I'm just like, no, like send me your fucking Instagram. Let me have a look at you, what you're like, what you're about. See if you can even pass the test of just coming to hang out here for one day. See if you, you know what I mean?
Well, that's why we do like a week, basically like a week trial period. Like if somebody gets past the test of they came in, sat on my couch and I like the person, guy or girl. And I'm like, all right, this is someone I could probably get along with. We shoot the shit about stuff that has nothing to do with screen printing. I'm like, well, what shows are you watching? What movies are you watching? Like, what do you do in your free time? We have that whole conversation. I show them the shop, walk them around. I'm like, hey, you seem like a person I could tolerate. Would you want to come work for a week? I'll pay you cash for the week. We'll see how you are. And then we'll make a decision on the weekend if this is the right fit or not. Are you cool with that? And they're usually like, yeah, cool. That sounds good. So they come in and you can see, like, are they going to actually be able to pull a shirt off? Are they going to get along with other employees? Are they going to be quiet? You know, or are they going to be like outspoken to people? Are they going to get in a fight with anybody? You know, you find out real fast in the manufacturing setting of like, can you do this job in a week?
Yeah. That's something too, which is going to be kind of interesting. Cause we talked earlier about, you know, the shift in the content and what's going to happen. That's one thing that immediately popped into my head once I knew I started having, like, I'm going to have to start hiring people, is those interviews and the whole, like that first introduction of them hanging out here. I'm filming all that shit. Like that's all going in a video.
Right. Are you okay on camera?
Yeah. That's question number one. Are you okay getting filmed every day? Because if not, there's the fucking door. But yeah, like seeing what that's like is going to be hilarious. Cause it's going to be kind of like almost taking.
Right. What you need to do is you need to find that dude who's going to be on press that's going to do like the thumb wiener through his jeans while you're filming. Yeah. That's the guy that you're like, you're hired.
Yeah.
Like,
you're in. Right. Yeah. So one guy, actually, it's funny. Cause like I got the two people like who work with me now, they're brothers, which is funny, but I didn't know there was a third one. And the third one came not too long ago, and he does at another shop. He handles all their vinyl production. He runs the wide format printer and all that type of shit.
Those guys just love vinyl, don't they? That's
something I want to bring in, which is awesome. But he showed up here, fucking walked up. First thing I noticed, like, you're wearing my favorite band shirt. I like you. Like right out of the gate. So, I mean, hey, if you're applying for a job over here and you like death metal, you're probably
right. Well, it's like I said, like Chris, who works here, is like my best friend, has been my best friend for a really, really long time. We went to high school together. And then Bill, his brother, we were in a band. The three of us were in a band together. And then, so my very first hire was Chris because he's my best friend. I was like, obviously you need to fucking work with me. And then, years later, I hired Bill. And then, Bill's been working here for quite a while on and off for different reasons. And then his younger brother, Zach, just turned 18 and was looking for a job. I was like, you're hired. Now I got the whole fucking family working here. And their mom shows up every day because she works at the school, and at a certain time of day she's headed back to work. She comes in to see her kids, and she's like, Dylan, will you please hire me? Like, because she has a second job at this other thing that she hates. I'm like, I cannot fucking hire you because your sons will kill me if you work here. Like, oh, fucking mom works here too. Like, oh, cool. So it's like, I got the whole family. But the thing is that it's nice too, because like the brothers keep themselves accountable. You know, if one's slacking off, the other one go up, smack him in the back of the head. I can't smack him in the back of the head or I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
But if your brother comes up and punches you in the nuts, then like, hey, I did nothing to do with that. That's your brother. Like, you can't HR me.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I think about that from like a content perspective, because it's just the way my fucking brain works, is how entertaining that would be having that around. Right. I mean, just the couple of videos having the two guys that I got here, their brothers, just listening to those fucking assholes bicker with each other is hilarious. Just the way brothers interact is funny. Right.
Because they can get mad at each other, yell at each other, and have an argument, and the next day they love each other again because they're brothers.
Yeah, they can say and do whatever they want to each other.
Perfect employees. You just need to, and that's why I see where these old farms would just have like 85 kids, because they know the employees are all going to get together at the end of the night and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, they can fucking fist fight in the morning and eat dinner together later on. It's fucking
perfect.
Great.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's something.
I'm going to look at these questions because you saw that I posted people have questions for you, and there's a lot of them, but most of them are what's in the blurry box in the background.
Well, we already kind of covered some of that.
We went over that. So I got to cut out 83% of these.
I'll go through the whole, because I mean, I don't know how much of this stuff is going to come out before the podcast comes out. So
this will be out not this Monday, but next Monday.
Cool. So like the press will be here by then. So, you know, I'm getting I'll go through the whole fucking list. I don't care. I'll give you guys some exclusives.
Ooh, all right, go ahead.
Which like nobody gives a shit about except for my followers. But, so we got a rock. I got a rock U. I got an 810 or 812. Sorry.
I knew you had a 12. I knew you had a, what is it? 12 station 10 color?
12 station 8 color. So I'm starting off with that one. There is talks of equipment being interchanged throughout the content as it grows. Just more or less using like my shop as like a digital showroom. Right. So yeah, we're starting off with that one because that was readily available. That was here. We didn't have to get built in Portugal, shipped over, and fucking wait a year to get. It was readily available. So that's what's starting off in here. We got a Stampinator going on that thing. Also a flash. So that thing's pretty rigged up. In the crate that everybody saw that was blurred out, that was driving people fucking nuts. 90% of the people either thought it was an M&R Sportsman in there or thought it was an Anatol Volt. I don't know why. But what's in there is actually my dryer. I got the BBC Aeolus. They're the biggest version of that thing. So I've got forced air so that I can move more towards water-based, which is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And plus we don't have gas here. So that was the best electric dryer you can get as far as with my sponsor obligations. Right. So
I think they make that about a half hour from my shop.
Yeah, it's sick looking. Like I poke my head in that crate and it looks like a fucking spaceship, man. It's badass looking. So I'm pretty pumped to open
That's what was blurred out.
Up. Yeah, that was the main thing that was blurred out. In the back also was my exposure unit blurred out in the Stampinator. Those were in there. The exposure unit's the big dog from around it, the big FX LED one, the massive freestanding one. So that's in a big ass crate. So that's what everybody saw in the blurred boxes there with those couple of things.
Nice.
But so we got that coming in, and then a new manual, the 350 this time rather than the 300 because it works with the rock.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is it the one that you can transfer the same pallets and everything?
Yeah, exactly. So that's that makes that transition a little bit more seamless. Except mine's going to be custom, which is going to be sick. And then we got a few new pieces of gear coming in. A few new heat presses from Stalls, which will be cool. I've got to deal with polyprint now, so we got a DTG and pre-treat and all that shit coming in to play around with. So that's going to be fun.
You're getting a lot. You're getting too many toys at once.
I know. I'm going to be fucking swimming neck deep and fucking.
I feel
shit
like
for a while.
I would be stressed. I would have super stress dreams every night about not having the knowledge on each of them.
Dude, this is the shit that I live for, man. Like getting just here.
Next time I see you, you're going to have a white beard.
Yeah, just getting thrown in the deep end and like figure it out. That's the shit that I love so much. So I'm actually pumped about it. I'm stressed out just because I got to juggle so much shit right now. But once all the equipment's here, that's
we we once got a whole screen room at the same time. So we got the Unicoat. This all came on the same semi. Unicoat, the iImage, the Starlight, and our Eco Rinse. All 4 pieces of equipment. And I did have that. I did have our Sprint on there too. And I told them to hold the Sprint just for 2 weeks because all of these crates, like I couldn't hardly even fit in here. But I got all of that stuff. Like we were screwed for about 300 screens. Like it took us almost 300 screens to get it all dialed in and figured out. You know what I mean? Because I did all of that stuff at once. Looking back, I would do it a little bit in steps, but that doesn't mean that you have to plug everything in and do it at the same time. Like you could receive all of those things, especially now with shipping and duties and all that kind of stuff. Just like get it all there anyway. But for us, it was just easier. It would have been easier to add along the way a little bit instead of everything at one time.
So good luck with that, man. Hey, that's what we're trying to say.
It's going to be fun. I mean, I figured all the rest out along the way so far. So I think my track record's looking good. I'll be able to knock this out.
The good thing you
time.
have going for you is the delays with everything. And you can tell all your customers that you're just 6 weeks out on everything.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's going to make great content, man. People be able to see me fuck up colossally
100%.
a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
for sure.
and I'm not going to cut any of that out. So that'll be great. And maybe it'll help them solve some problems because
You got
I'll
any
run
more,
into
Dylan?
something. Yeah. Hit me with all of them.
I had a lot of them were just talking about how sexy you are. One of them said send nudes, which I get every time. Some of them, a lot of them were about YouTube and about how you juggle printing and content, which we kind of went over already. One, I guess we can throw in here is a lot of what's in the box.
That got a lot of people, man. That's why I blurted out. It was just to fucking trigger people a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like I'm going to shorten it, but it's just kind of like, what's your number one tip or your top 2 tips for starting a YouTube channel?
Well, the biggest one is one that like I can't even speak to because I don't even do it, but consistency is fucking huge. I mean, I did it more in the beginning. In the beginning, I was definitely very consistent because the print business hadn't really taken off yet. I was mostly printing my own shit. So, you know, I don't have deadlines on myself. I could do what I want. So in the beginning, I was really consistent for probably like the first, I don't know, I want to say like 5 or 6 months of it. I was knocking out videos weekly. I was cranking them. It was great. So consistency is a big one, but authenticity is fucking huge, man. Is so huge. Like I said earlier, but it comes down to being relatable in some way. So
it's being okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah. What I said, it was one of the smartest things I ever fucking said. Probably the only real smart thing I've ever said, but we're talking about, how I show the fuck ups and stuff like that. And that was something that people really, really connected with. I noticed like right out of the gate, I saw in the comments that people appreciated it somehow. I see it in my DMs all the time that people really like seeing that stuff because they learn from it. And it's true because that stuff holds so much more value than just showing people the highlight reel. It's way more valuable. So it was like a quote that I said, it was, what the fuck did I say? But I felt like super smart after saying it. It was like, in a social media world where everybody's trying so hard to be perfect, you stand out by being imperfect. And I was like, shit, that sounded like knowledge.
Well, because it's relatable. I mean, we all fuck up, well, except for Dylan, but we all make mistakes.
Dylan's
and
infallible.
that's how, right. And then we learn from them. So yeah, of course, show the mistakes.
We can't all be me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Be authentic. Be a real human being. You know, talk shit, swear, tell people when you have a problem with something, when you're feeling fucking mad or sad. Like, it doesn't matter. Just be a real human being because so many people are full of shit on the internet now.
The third thing I would say,
it just makes people know that they can get there too. You know what I mean? Like me and Andy do that on the podcast all the time. We talk about how we started and how we got to where we are. Like neither of us right now feel like we're like this established, like fucking, we got all our shit together company. Like we're all still figuring shit out daily. Like you're never going to figure everything out. So to tell everybody, be like, yeah, I'm struggling with this, or I fucking write shit down on a fucking Post-it note. People are like, oh, that moron. And it's just kind of like, they look at it as like, oh, well, I'm writing stuff down too. So like I could do what he's doing. You know what I mean? It's like, it helps people realize that they can achieve their goals and their dreams with this industry. And it's like, that's exactly what you're doing. You're just like, oh, I fucked this up, or I almost burnt this fucking place to the ground. Like,
yeah. And the other thing is really just to start. That's all it comes back to, is just do it. A lot of people just get stuck in their own heads. Like, I got to do it this way. I got to have this camera. I got to fucking do all these.
I got to have all the best equipment.
Yeah. I mean, like, people look at me and they're like, well, if I got to do this, I got to do it this way. Like, I didn't start off with all that shit. Mm-hmm. It took me a long, long time to get it all. So the biggest thing is just to get out of your own head and just start putting shit out there. The first, like, I'm going to say probably the first 10 videos you make are going to be dog shit. They're going to suck. Mm-hmm. And you got to be okay with that. You got to learn. It's a learning process.
Yeah. I was talking to Chad, like last week, and I was like saying, oh, I think that, I'm doing a little better, like, incrementally better, in this podcast thing. I think I might've learned after 70 whatever episodes how to do better. But then I had one and I'm like, man, I sucked. Like I'm terrible at this. And he goes, no. Go back and listen to those first few. You're doing better. And I was like, and I haven't yet, but I was like, oh wow, I bet you, I can't imagine what those first few. I just had somebody.
Like we've talked about this too, where like in the early episodes, we were at our houses and like my fucking dog was barking in the background, like most of the time, or just like our lighting sucked. Like there's a bunch of episodes where I look like I'm fucking like bright red.
I just had somebody message us that said, hey guys, thanks a lot for the podcast. It's so awesome. I'm on episode 5 or something like that. And I'm like, wow. Like, isn't it crazy to think that long ago, those episodes anyway, still have relevancy now, like today, over a year later. So that's pretty neat. Like, I'm sure people have seen some of your videos from years ago that comment or message you or something. You're like, wow, I can't believe that still has value years later.
It happens every day because one thing I've like make a point of doing is I respond to YouTube comments, like almost all of them. So I go back, I see what's happening on those videos all the time. And there's like, it happens every day. There's the old videos from when I very first started printing, like my very first 4 videos literally are called like learning how to screen print. There's people still watching those. There's people still giving me advice on what to do in there, even though it's 3 years later. There's it's cool to see, which is awesome. But then at the same time, I'm like cringing to myself. I'm like, oh, go watch a new one, 'cause those are fucking terrible. Like, please don't let that be the introduction to my channel. I still have to remind myself all the time, like, even though I'm doing videos now, like, within the past couple of months at a very, very high level, I still feel like they're not good enough. And then I'm like, okay, I got to go back.
You can't though. You can't feel like, oh, I've made it. Like I feel like once you hit douchebaggery of feeling like I've made it, it's just like
I am the best screen printing YouTuber of all time. You're
irrelevant at this point. Like nobody likes you. Go home and cry. Like, I feel like you need to feel like a giant piece of shit. And I say this to Andy all the time. I say this to other people. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fat piece of shit, or I'm a dumb piece of shit. And they're just like, oh, don't say that about yourself. I'm like, well, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of things. It's like, I'm still learning. Like, I know that's a horrible way to say it, but it's like, I'm still learning a bunch of shit. Like, yeah, I'm at a certain point and I'm probably ahead of, these people that are still learning, but it's like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, there's still a million people above me that are better at things. Yeah. And I need that mentality to constantly be fighting and growing and getting better. Because if I was just like, oh, I have this down, then I would get comfy and I would just not do shit. Yeah. I wouldn't want to come here at 10 at night and learn something or put in some new equipment or something. I would be like, fuck it, I'm fine.
Yeah. That's the quick way to fail. At that point, you've lost the hunger, you've lost the drive. It's gone. You've capped out. That's something I hope never fucking happens to me. But I mean, for the past few years, it's been good that way. I feel like I'm never getting good enough. I've made a really sick print video and then I'm like, fuck, Peter McKinnon just put out a new video and it just makes mine look terrible. So now I got to get this much better.
I watch Peter's videos too.
Yeah. So like that kind of stuff happens. Or I still watch Casey's old videos from years ago all the time. And I'm just sitting there like, how the fuck did he do this? It's crazy. So you get that constant inspiration. Same with printing and stuff too. Like feel like I've gotten to a certain level where I'm like, okay, sweet, I'm good at this. And then, one of you assholes puts out a picture of a print that's just like, fuck. I hate these guys.
Or you finally figure out like a certain ink or whatever. You're like, oh, I figured out how to print this good white. And then they're like, oh, we came out with this new diamond gold fucking whatever ink. And you're like, fuck you. And now you got to figure it all out all over again.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the fun of all this shit, is just constantly learning and pushing to get better. I mean, that's the best part about it all.
You have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Something I would add to your list of things of advice would be patience, because I think that, and that can be said for just starting a shop, because you know, a lot of people think that it's going to be pretty quick. Like they're going to see this results. They're going to start a YouTube channel. They're going to start a podcast. They're going to start an Instagram account or whatever it is. And that in 6 months or a year, they're going to be like, it's going to be banging. Like everybody's going to be watching. They have all these followers, but it's not true. Like I worked on Instagram for years and years and years and years and years. I've worked on the shop for years and years and years and years. And so it's like, I think that, you know, it's just patience is huge and it's hard. I mean, it takes a long time. You have to
I feel
make
like you have to be making the content because you're passionate about the content, not passionate about getting followers and people to like you.
Yeah.
Like if you're just looking for people to like you, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna quit.
Yeah, you're fucked right out of the gate if you're doing it that way. And I mean, same with printing too. It's the same thing, man. I actually went over that in a video years ago. It was after my very first year of printing. Like everything I learned in the first year of printing, and patience was the number one thing that I said that I learned, because I'm not a patient person. I'm terrible. And when I started printing, I expected myself to come in, you know, fucking big dick swinging and just kill everything right out of the gate. And I got reality checked real fucking quick at how hard this is, like how many different skills I had to learn and master along the way. Like how long it took me just to make a screen that wasn't shit was unreal. And then how to put a print down nicely, then how to put a 2-color and a 3-color and so on. It took a really long time. And I mean, even after that first year, I still didn't have a full grasp of it all. The
best part about all of that is you get to a point where you think you figured out how to make that really good screen. And then you finally have someone that's not you and like super technical on that come in and be like, wow, you're printing with these?
Yeah. I'm sure I'm still using some today that someone would look at and just be like, ugh, what the fuck is this?
I have that too. Like we think we got something dialed and we're like, yeah, we're getting really good results with this. This is great. And then someone comes along that knows more than we do. And they're just like, yeah, that's upside down. You're just like, oh, fuck my life.
Yeah. So the patience it's a big aspect of all this stuff. Is you gotta humble yourself real quick, and otherwise it's not going to work out for you.
For sure.
And I mean, it comes down to patience for a lot of stuff too. Like patience for the other people in your shop or fucking other people in the industry is a massive one. That's something that a lot of people seem to lack. Is patience for others. I mean, that's why I started that whole Facebook group, was simply because of the lack of patience for others. Like people starting out are just shit on in those groups because they don't know what they're doing. They're not an expert right out of the gate, and people just fucking jump all over them for it. It's crazy. I mean, like people look to me for answers all the time. And I mean, at the beginning, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was asking you a million really stupid questions that you were probably sitting there like, really?
This guy doesn't know.
This guy has no idea what he's doing, which I did not. So we all got to start somewhere, man. So learning patience for that is a pretty big thing.
Yeah. All right, Andy, you ready for some quick takes?
Yes, sir.
I love how you got it marked again. Who does what?
It helps.
I feel like you're like my mom making my lunch in the morning, where you like pre-cut the crust off my sandwich. That's what this feels like.
That's it. That's a really nice thing. She must love you.
There's like a little handwritten note in there.
All right. So Lee, what's one thing you need every day?
Music. Absolutely.
We haven't had that one yet.
I wake up every morning. The first thing I do is crank on a Spotify playlist, heavy as fuck, and headbang my way over to get some food.
I've never understood that from like right from the time your eyes open. Like I know people that get here and like you said, it's just like the music is just too much. Like it's just too much at like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m.
I got hit with that the other day at work. It was like Thursday or Friday. I had something playing. I think I had like New Every Time I Die album or whatever. And it was like, they just walked in at 9 and it immediately got changed to like fucking some like quiet shit or whatever. And, well, I say quiet shit, but I like that shit too. So, they were just like, no, too early for this. And I was like, that gets me going. That like wants me to like perk up and like do something. I don't want to get here and be sleepy in the morning and have like fucking someone try to get me back to sleep. But then they put Michael Bublé on, and I fucking love Michael. So I was just like fucking singing all his songs as well. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty locked into my own little music bubble. Like I only like metal and pretty much nothing else. I do like some like 90s hip hop and stuff when I want to chill out, but I mean that's it.
I'm all over the board. I could listen to something fucking blood curdling and I'll go right to Celine Dion, Voice of an Angel.
Yeah. It's funny too, because like in my videos, like only use hip hop, even though I love to edit with metal. No one's going to watch those videos for starters. And two, like, you think it's going to look cool printing a shirt, listening to just like crazy blast beats and shit. Like it's a little, they don't really fit together very well. So, but yeah, every morning, the second I wake up, connect to the Bluetooth speaker and fucking crank some metal. This morning, my mom walked in here as I was making breakfast, just cringing because I had Shadow of Intent just cranked full titties. It was hilarious.
And you turned around and your mom's like, full titties? And you're like, yeah, full titties.
So
that's good. All right. 3 words to describe yourself. Andy, that's a new one.
Oh shit. That's
this one feels like we're in therapy.
That's a hard
We're
one.
going to learn a little bit more about Lee right here.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I got to say, shit, I don't know. Restless is definitely one of them. That's why I got it tattooed on my fucking knuckles, because I can't just fucking
like
be okay with
you have restless leg syndrome.
Yeah, that's why I got the tattoo. Got to bring awareness.
You're like, dude, that's just really been bugging me, man.
Yeah, no, I can't fucking sit still. I gotta like constantly be doing something. I'm never happy with anything. I just like, I always want to be better at shit. So that's definitely the biggest one.
Angelic.
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay, I got your second one.
I don't know. I guess like I'm pretty driven. That's definitely one of them, I guess. Like
it's a good one.
I'm constantly fucking wanting to improve. Third, fuck, I have no idea. That's a really hard question. Normally I'm like on top.
I know he threw that in there. And
you got me on the spot now. This is tough, dude.
We can use angelic. That's fine. I mean, that was a good one.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I'm a nicer guy than people would expect.
That's good. Yeah. All right, Andy, next one.
What gets you really pumped?
Oh, and a fourth bonus word is I'm tall. So many people on the internet think I'm fucking short for some reason.
I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it from you.
Dude, it's
so
hilarious.
many. I get that every time I go anywhere. They're like, wow, you're way taller than I thought you were.
Everybody thinks I'm like 5'5" because I guess I look small on camera, but in reality, I'm like 6'2" and 220 pounds.
My problem is I have this high back chair and they think it's like a regular size chair.
I know, I look super short on this thing. So, but anyways, yeah, continue on.
Yeah, I'm like 6'3". Fucking big chair.
Well, I think you might have answered this one, but I asked what gets you really pumped, but I think I know.
Metal.
That does get me pumped, but I mean, the biggest thing that gets me pumped on shit is like accomplishing something. Like as if you set out to do a goal, you set out to get good at a thing or whatever, or you have a certain vision for something and you do it. That's my whole reason for being.
Okay, next one. Andy, I'm going to change the word on this because I don't want to feel like weird. What pisses you off?
Fuck, how much longer do you want this podcast to be?
Give me a weird pet peeve. Because I can list a couple of those for me that are like, that's weird.
This one doesn't seem that weird. It seems like a really common thing. But when people don't know the differences between there, and there, that fucking drives me bananas. That really drives me nuts. I don't know why it just does, but I think that
grammar really gets to him.
Yeah, grammar's
he's like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's my thing, man. I don't know. It just drives me fucking crazy when people do it. Like I've literally had to break up with a girl because she didn't know the difference between that, because like her constant text messages.
She kept saying, I want to put it in there. And you're like, that's not how you say that.
I'm just getting those barrage of text messages every day and it's just spelled wrong or grammatically wrong every single time. And it's just like, fuck, I can't do it anymore. It's just driving me crazy. So yeah, that's one of those weird things. I guess I took it a little bit further than
she's like, it was autocorrect or it was auto. I was talking into my voice. It was voice to text.
Yeah. That one's a big one for me. I don't know why.
Mine is when people say on so many levels. When someone says on so many levels, it makes me cringe. I'm just like, oh God, that's so embarrassing. I don't know why. It just bugs me. Fucking
yeah. There's definitely a lot more that pisses me off, but I mean, we'll be here in a while.
It'll be a long list. We could just do a whole episode on what pisses us off.
I like those.
Yeah. The way the world is going today, we'll be here a while. So
all right, which do you like more, shooting or editing?
editing for sure. Shooting is like, and it's funny because most people say the opposite because the shooting is the easy part. The editing is where you can really make something turn into a vision or something like totally different than what you would have thought it would be. Like you could take a total garbage shot, and if you're a good editor, you can turn it into something useful. I think that's the more creative part of the process over the filming.
I think
Plus, you're getting into like cool effects and stuff too.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I like editing more because I think that's where you really tell the story. I mean, if you do both, like if you shoot and edit, it makes you a better, shooter because you remember, like when you're editing, you're like, oh man, I wish I had a shot of this. And so it improves your shooting game. But for me anyway, I really love editing because that's where you put the story together. For me anyway, that's where I mostly do.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine how like documentary makers do it because they got multiple shooters just shooting all this footage. And then you got this editor who's never seen any of it before. And he's got to make sense of all this shit. That seems insane to me. I couldn't imagine how difficult that job is. Cause at least with mine, I shot all the stuff. I know what's there. I know I, for some reason, had to get 19 angles of this one shirt just to make sure I got the one I like. So I can't imagine what it's like for those guys. Cause it's probably 10 times worse.
I feel like some of that's cool though, too, because it's kind of like for us where me and Andy do the podcast and then Chad edits it and he wasn't here and he just looks at it and he's like, this is what I think is cool. Like when he does the pregame, like that's like one of my favorite parts of the week. I know it sounds like weird that I like to see myself or watch myself, but it's funny. It's funny to watch the pregame because he takes shit out that isn't really there and is like from later in the podcast and puts it in there. So it makes us seem like weird and fucking, it's just so funny, like how he fucking edits them together. And I feel like if I was to do it, I would do it totally different. But for him, it's like fresh perspective because he's not in his own head. He's just like, oh, this is funny. We're definitely putting this in there.
Yeah. Different perspective, different sense of humor, it comes out differently to different people. So that is cool.
Yeah. What advice would you give your younger self?
Get into business earlier for sure. That was something that I wanted to do forever and just either was scared to pull the trigger at times or just not driven, not focused enough, which looking back now, just drive and focus was something that I never really had for a very long time. I didn't really develop it until I was old. If I had it when, when I was riding for a living or when I was racing prior to that or whatever, I probably would have gotten a lot further with all of that stuff because I never fucking practiced. I was operating on natural talent 90% of the time. So I wish I had that work ethic to practice and do all that stuff. But I had the whole way through it. I was working with all these brands and companies and stuff. And I was like, I should start my own clothing brand or do something, way back in 2001, thinking of this shit and just never did it. And every year something came up where I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. And I just never pulled the trigger on any of them. So I definitely, if I could go back and tell my younger self, start now, because I'd be 10 times further ahead now at this point than I am now. It's
Dylan, you say you started pretty young, but was that your same answer?
Yeah. You were 17, weren't you?
No, 17.
Yeah, you should have started when you were 12.
I feel like I just didn't. Yeah, if I was 12, I started at Amazon.
Yeah, I didn't start until I was 30 or 31.
I feel like my thing was just kind of I had no fucking idea what else to do. I was just kind of oh, this seems like a legit thing I can do and get away with, where I could play Call of Duty for half the day. And then I could kind of work until 4 a.m. and pass out till noon and then do it all over again.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of morphed into a passion project. And because I look at it now and I'm I was passionate in school with I used to draw a shitload in school. Art was my thing I was good at in school. Everything else I sucked at. And then I skipped school a lot and was hanging out with girls. And then I went to a lot of shows. And I was just I don't know what the fuck I can do with this. When I was in high school, my goal was to one day to open a venue. I wanted to have a venue. And then I was I don't have fucking money to buy a building and open a venue. So then I just got into what I could do, which was at the time merch. And that grew into what I have now. But luckily I was passionate about it and it worked out. But it could have gone totally the other way. I could have been I don't know, anything.
Yeah, I had it a little too easy, I think. And that kind of fucked me up for a long time. I turned pro when I was 15 years old. So, I dropped out of high school. What are kids doing in the 10th grade? Nothing awesome. That's for sure. So, I dropped out of school. I'm traveling around the world, doing all this stuff, get to make money by riding things and having a good time. I mean, shit,
it was cush.
That's awesome. I spent 12 years just hitting jumps, doing fun shit, partying, hanging out with chicks. Like that was the life. So I didn't really learn any basic skills that a lot of people have, like the drive to do things. Like I didn't have a real job, so I didn't have to follow a schedule for really anything. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, like I didn't finish high school. So that was another thing. Yeah, it took me a long time to develop drive and just dedication to something. It set me back for a while, but after retiring from riding and having to work a couple of real shit jobs that were fucking awful, then I learned pretty quick that
I think like my drive in the beginning was I had no other choice.
Yeah.
Like I literally had no money, and I wasn't getting money from my parents. I was just like, if I don't sell a couple more jobs today, or if I don't sell this many buttons today, I'm not eating.
It's funny you said that, because I brought that up with someone the other day, is that like the desperation is what makes successful people a lot of the time, because I was in the same boat. Like a lot of people thought I just started out of this thing like super well off. When I started my brand, I had fucking $200 left in my bank account. Like I was screwed. I tried to spend the last 2 years.
But it forced you to sell more and like
it forced me to. That was like the biggest driving factor to me learning, I guess, how I operate now, because it was do or die. I've spent the last, however it was, 2 years, I think it was, trying to become a motorcycle YouTuber. Spent all my fucking money, bankrupted myself doing that, and it went nowhere. It was dumb. So it was last ditch effort. I was like, I do have a certain fan base, like a little bit at least. Maybe they'll want to buy some shirts from me. So I started the brand. It kind of did well right out of the gate, made my money back, did it again, made some money, and then just built off from there slowly. And then eventually got the printing equipment, and here we are. That's now.
Exactly the way that Upstate started. I started with the money I had in my pocket, and I had to make it work because I had people counting on me. And
I didn't want to move back in with my mom at 31 years old. Never going to get laid again. That's what did it, man. It was just pure desperation. And that taught me fucking all the work ethic that I have now.
Andy?
All right. What's your go-to snack?
Ooh, chicken wings for sure. Buffalo to be exact.
Good man.
I could eat buffalo wings fucking all day, every day. It's the best.
Do you like flats or drumsticks though?
Oh, flats. Flats are nothing. Flats are nothing. So.
I feel like an asshole. I feel like the asshole, like bougie guy, when I call the place to order wings. I'm like, can I get flats only?
Yeah. Dude, there's this wing place here that's like, I guess like kind of high end, or they're trying to be really high end. So it's really fucking expensive. Like, what the hell was it? I think for like 35.
Dude, chicken wings in general are really expensive right now.
Yeah, it was like for like 35 wings. It was like $75. It was nuts. But their wings are exquisite. It's like unbelievably delicious. Anyways, I had this friend over here and the wings come in or whatever. I walk away for like 5 minutes. She ate every fucking flat in there. I was ready to lose my shit. I was so mad. It's like, do you realize what these wings just cost me? And you ate all the good ones? Like, fucking asshole.
I can see Lee every morning. He wakes up,
eats a chicken
turns
wing.
on the death metal, and then pounds chicken wings.
Just fucking headbanging with chicken wings in my mouth. Using the drumsticks as fucking drumsticks.
He just puts a whole wing in, pulls a whole wing out.
Yeah. Living life like a caveman.
Doesn't brush his teeth. He just eats a chicken wing.
Just brush it with wings.
It's really good for you. Do you prefer a night in or a night out?
In all day. I'm very introverted. I don't really like people. For the most part, I've got a very select few amount of people. There's like, I got a small circle of friends that I like being around and stuff. And mostly like, I don't know, it's hard to find people that you really like connect and identify with and shit. Like I can hang out and talk to you guys all day long. If you guys lived here, shit, we'd hang out every day. But as far as, the
real question is, how often do you have pants on?
Rarely, pretty much. Right. And I was going to say whenever I shoot a video, but even then, a lot of the times I don't. Like whenever I'm shooting a video from this angle, guaranteed I'm not wearing pants.
Right. Just trunking it.
So today I surprisingly do, but they're like dirty old chilling sweatpants.
Nice. That's how I was last week here. All right, Andy, finish her off.
All right, what's for dinner tonight?
Chicken wings.
Well, I actually think so. Actually,
obviously,
I'm pretty sure it was going to be chicken wings. Either that or You know, like the Wendy's, the spicy chicken sandwich. It's the greatest fast food known to mankind. I found this place that sells like that fucking piece of chicken,
Just
like
the patty.
like what they use in their thing. I found them. So I've been ordering them. I can make spicy chickens at home. It's the best.
This is probably horrible. I don't remember. I was kind of young, but like there's a lot of auctions around here. Like, and there's a place, it's like a fucking dirty barn and they have auctions in there. And I remember going as a kid and I was with my mom and my stepdad bought something in the auction. It was like some like frozen food. Like, I think it was just like, you don't know what's in the box and you're just like, oh, I'll fucking bid whatever it was. And we ended up with it. And it was like a whole pallet of Burger King, like their chicken. They used to have those like chicken tenders. They weren't called chicken fries like they are now, but they were kind of like that. But it was like bags and bags and bags of them. I think we ate those for like 2 years. Like we just had so much of them. And it was just like, oh, you're hungry? Guess what you're eating? Some of those fucking Burger King things. So yeah, as soon as you said that, I just got like fucking flashback. I never would have thought of that ever again in my life until you said you ordered like a bulk amount of Wendy's.
Yeah. I was single and I mean, I fucking hate cooking. So I order most of what I eat. Drives me nuts. Probably why I'm in the position that I'm in where I need to fucking get back in shape. But what can you do?
Who the fuck are you talking to here? All right. Well, I'm glad we finally got you on. We waited a while because I had you on my thing before, so we didn't want to have it too early. But it also worked out perfect time-wise that you had some more going on in your life and you had a big change. So
yeah,
we wanted to be able to talk about it.
We'll have to recap again next year.
When we recap about how you're quitting screen printing because you hate everything that you did, we'll have you on for that.
Yeah. No, it's when I quit screen printing to go all in on my OnlyFans.
Hell yeah.
That's what
I mean, you're almost there now, right?
Yeah. I'm just building this audience just to pivot to OnlyFans, showing people my butthole for $5 a month.
Right. But I mean, I pay that extra though for that premium content.
Yeah. It's funny too, because somebody actually, like, I actually had an OnlyFans account because originally when it started, it was before all the chicks used it to do what they do on there. It originally started off as for creators, right? Just
Keep telling yourself that, Lee.
that's what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be like
you're
Patreon.
Talking to two dudes now. It's okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like Patreon originally. So I had set it up right out of the gate when it was brand new. I just set up an account, which is something I do with all social media or anything related just to get my usernames. And I set it up and forgot about it and was just never used it. And then somebody fucking found me on there not too long ago. And they're like, hey, what are you doing with this? Like, are you just going to start putting stuff on OnlyFans? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they sent me the screenshot. I was like, oh shit, I forgot all about that. I should probably take that down.
And they realized there was 35 posts on there already.
These OnlyFans would be like all these different angles. You'd have all these different cameras set up. It'd be pretty epic.
Yeah. I've always said that if I got into making porn, I would be bringing it back to the 90s, that class where they put some production value into that shit.
Wow, I'm really into these videos for the production value because he definitely doesn't have anything else I'd like. That's very lighting
true.
Though.
That lighting was on point though. So
perfect.
Guys, this was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you, Lee.
Oh, that's it.
Love you
We're
guys.
done?
That's it.
Cutting it
That's
off.
it. We want to cut it off at the golden. We had the porn angle. So see you later.
That's a good point.